Chapter 15:12, Asking for it. Fifth Grandma Ding was furious. Choose your words carefully, Qinglan warned coldly. You will face consequences for publicly insulting the general's wife's mother. Fifth Grandma Ding was so frightened that she choked. She said angrily, What? I'm her biological grandmother. No, Qinglan said. Everyone in the village can testify that our madam has nothing to do with your family. You. Qingyun and Qinglan had initially aimed to teach these gossiping women a lesson in a nonchalant, casual manner, instilling fear to prevent them from provoking the general's wife's parents in the future. They intended to keep the punishment light. However, Fifth Grandma Ding's provocation led them to unleash the full force of their anger. Every slap landed with a solid impact, causing Fifth Grandma Ding and her daughter-in-law's mouths to bleed and swell. Even their teeth felt loose. After 10 slaps, their cheeks were so red and swollen that they could not speak. Witnessing this, the expressions of the villagers changed. Qinglan stated coldly, Remember this lesson. If you think our general's wife is far away and dare to act inappropriately, pray that our general's wife never returns. Otherwise, Qingyun added nonchalantly, We didn't want to teach you both such a harsh lesson, but you left us with no choice. Your mother-in-law started insulting us from the moment she opened her mouth. She went too far. It angered us, and we couldn't restrain ourselves any longer. Fifth Grandma Ding's 2 daughters-in-law couldn't help but shoot resentful glances at her, further infuriating Fifth Grandma Ding. The villagers, initially somewhat disgusted, found it hard to blame Qingyun and Qinglan. They believed Zhu and the others had gone too far and hadn't shown any respect. Upon hearing the explanation, the villagers couldn't fault Qingyun and Qinglan's actions. Ultimately, who could Fifth Grandma Ding blame but herself? She truly brought it upon herself, no wonder. The drama concluded, and Fifth Grandpa Ding's family left in defeat. Ms. Zhou sighed with relief internally. Excellent, that family would likely avoid causing any trouble in the future. Recalling the words Qingyun's daughter had spoken about not taking a step back from that family, Ms. Zhou couldn't help but feel a sense of satisfaction. Whether or not these words had any impact on her husband, at least the current outcome aligned with her desires. Zhou Chong exchanged a few more words with the land officer. Afterwards, Ms. Zhou and Ding Erzhu departed, heading to the first section of the Shao family. Ding Xiang distributed half of the gifts to Ms. Zhou and Ding Erzhu and the other half to the first section of the Shao family. They also presented all the skins and gems they had acquired in Huning City to Ms. Fang. Ding Xiang wasn't the original occupant of this body, and her attachment to Ms. Zhou and Ding Erzhu was limited. She merely inhabited this body, and their connection was mainly through bloodlines. While she appreciated their efforts on her behalf, she viewed this pair of parents differently than real parents. Despite Ding Xiang's generous gifts, Ms. Fang hesitated to accept them. Ding Erzhu and Ms. Zhou insisted, so with a smile, Ms. Fang accepted the presents. Later, Ding Erzhu and his wife joined Ms. Fang for dinner at her home. Zhou Chong and the others visited the land officer and the chief, sharing their madam's story. As a result, they stayed with the first section of the Shao family for the next 2 days. Whenever Ms. Zhou addressed Ms. Fang as sister-in-law, Zhou Chong and the others discreetly wiped their brows, recalling the times their madam referred to Madame Shao as sister. Their madam had always been indifferent to minor matters. They simply chose to pretend they hadn't heard it. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 15:13, Not inviting Ding Xiang had already crafted the narrative, leaving Zhou Chong and Qingyun with the responsibility of conveying her tale to Ding Erzhu, Ms. Zhou, Ms. Fang, and the land officer. In her account, Ding Xiang, fueled by anger and despair, escaped the ancestral hall. In the county city, she stealthily followed a caravan heading towards the province city. Fortunately, a sizable caravan bound for Huning City, a major northern border metropolis, was in need of additional hands. Despite the reluctance of many due to the arduous journey, Ding Xiang seized the opportunity. Upon their arrival in Huning City, a fortuitous series of events led her to rescue a grateful general. Impressed by her character, the general arranged a match for her, and Ding Xiang, in turn, held admiration for him. The two eventually married in Huning City, and due to the demanding post-wedding commitments, she had not returned until now. The tale was accepted without skepticism. Ms. Zhou couldn't help but shed tears at the thought of her daughter's endured pain. Ding Erju sighed in sympathy. Witnessing their reactions, Zhou Chong and the others found some relief. Subsequently, Zhou Chong shared the story of Xiao Yunduan and Qiao Xian with Ms. Fang, bringing her great joy. Additionally, the generals promised to inquire about Qi and look after him earned gratitude from Ms. Fang and the rest. They expressed their thanks while Qing Yun and the others modestly downplayed their role. The following morning, Ding Erju and Ms. Zhou returned, accompanied by Qing Yun, Zhou Chong, and the other land officers. They brought gifts and, in a gesture of gratitude, hosted them at their homes. Later, a lavish meal was arranged at the Xiao family residence's first section, inviting the land officer and others to partake. Although some in the Ding family harbored dissatisfaction, believing the meal should be hosted at their residence, none dared to voice their objections. Yesterday, Zhou Chong, Qing Yun, and the others displayed remarkable courage. Fifth Grandpa Ding's family suffered a severe beating, leaving them unable to rise. No one dared to exploit their seniority to voice any objections. Moreover, Ding Erju and his wife maintained a close connection with the first section of the Xiao family. It seemed wiser to enjoy the meal without stirring up unnecessary trouble. The Ding family reveled in their joy and pride. With Lord Xiao in the Xiao family and a general's wife in the Ding family, they felt well equipped to handle whatever the Xiao family might assert. Throughout the meal, there was a conspicuous omission in mentioning Fifth Grandpa Ding and Fifth Grandma Ding. It wasn't that they were reluctant to share the feast, but their presence made everyone uncomfortable. Considering Fifth Grandma Ding's penchant for causing trouble, it seemed more prudent not to invite them at all. However, Ms. Fang, in an attempt to prevent any appearance of callousness, instructed Yang Xiaoni to bring a substantial bowl of chicken, steamed meat, and mutton. This gesture aimed to show some consideration toward Ding Erju and Ms. Zhou, preventing villagers from perceiving them as unfeeling. Despite the severed familial ties, the fact remained that they were still biological parents. Neglecting to invite them for a meal might lead to complications. The act was framed as an expression of filial piety to elders sharing the same surname. In response to this offering, Yang Xiaoni, being straightforward, heard Fifth Grandma Ding's disdainful remarks and couldn't help but respond. "Come on, don't say that. It's not about not wanting to treat you. If you come, trouble is inevitable. Are we still able to enjoy our meal?" Fifth Grandma Ding scowled at Yang Xiaoni, considering her words frivolous. The third daughter-in-law of the Ding family couldn't help but voice her frustration. Why not be more magnanimous? This pettiness doesn't suit you. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 15:14, Ms. Zhou is not scary, but Ding Xiangyang Xiaoni shot a defiant glare. This is meant for Fifth Grandpa Ding and Fifth Grandma Ding, and it's a substantial offering. How can you call it petty? It's none of your business. Still staring at me. Uncle Erju, Aunt Zhou, and others endured mistreatment from you in the past, right? Despite their generous nature, you're fortunate they didn't retaliate. Do you really expect them to miss you and send you food? What's going through your mind? Her words struck a nerve, causing the third daughter-in-law of the Ding family to pale, fear evident in her eyes. Recalling the slap she received the previous day, a burning sensation and ache returned to her face. Yes, she had forgotten. In the past, when Ding Erju and Madame Zhou were part of the family, they endured frequent mistreatment. The brunt of the dirty work fell on their shoulders, subjected to ridicule and deliberate difficulties. While Ding Erju and Ms. Zhou handled it well, Ding Xiang and the troublesome girl displayed a fierce temper, showing no regard for her or her sister-in-law. They even resorted to slapping them. The panic spread not only to the third daughter-in-law but also to the other brothers and sisters-in-law. Upon returning from the land officer's place the previous day, the family had engaged in a lengthy session of scolding. They intended to settle the score with Ding Erju and Ms. Zhou once Zhou Chong, Qin Yun, and the others departed. The two daughters-in-law who had been slapped nursed intense hatred, vowing to return the favor to Ms. Zhou during the commotion or risk harboring unresolved resentment. However, fear now held them back. Ding Erju and Madame Zhou weren't particularly intimidating, but Ding Xiang was a different story. What if Ding Xiang returned to settle old scores? While Ding Xiang might spare the two elderly individuals, others could find themselves in an unfortunate predicament. Following that, the entire family adopted a more restrained demeanor and refrained from venturing into Zhang village. Even when fifth Grandma Ding expressed a desire to go, her sons and daughters-in-law went to great lengths to dissuade her, leaving the villagers puzzled. Little did they realize that this change was a direct result of Yang Xiani's unintentional remarks. Zhou Chong and the others spent 2 days in Xiaoding village before bidding their farewells. Given the considerable distance to cover, a swift return would place them in late October or early November. Delaying any further would expose them to colder weather as they headed north, making the journey more challenging. Ms. Fang, anticipating their needs for the journey home, prepared ample food for them. Each member of the group received a generous red packet, and the entire family saw them off with courtesy. Anxiously awaiting news from Qi, Miss Fang couldn't help but hope for a swift update. Reluctant to part ways, Ms. Zhou and Ding Erju enlisted the help of a schoolteacher to write a letter to Ding Xiang, expressing their longing for her return. Despite the uncertainty, the couple found solace in the knowledge that their daughter was alive and thriving, a source of profound joy that left no room for regrets. Once Zhou Chong departed, Ms. Fang approached Ding Erju and Ms. Zhou. Acknowledging their status as the generals-in-laws, she considered it inappropriate for them to serve as stewards for the family. Ding Erju and Ms. Zhou, however, couldn't envision a life of idleness and expressed their willingness to continue managing the farm for the first section of the family. Assuring Ms. Fang that they were not weary, they opted for a more leisurely lifestyle while awaiting Ding Xiang's return. Ms. Fang, after contemplating the situation, agreed to their arrangement. Surprisingly, the incident led to improved relations among the various families in the village. Biased opinions began to shift, recognizing that success might come to any of the previously marginalized children or grandchildren. Fifth Grandpa Ding's family served as a tangible cautionary tale, prompting a re-evaluation of their attitudes. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 15:15 Result upon their return to Huning City, Zhou Chong and the others recounted the events in Xiaoding village to Ding Xiang. She smiled joyfully and expressed regret, what a pity. It would have been even more interesting if I had seen it with my own eyes. Learning of Ding Erju and Ms. Zhou's well-being and their unwavering support, Ding Xiang contemplated when she would go back. This realization meant that, in the couple's hearts, their daughter held greater importance than the scornful family they left behind. Anticipating the likely tantrum from her original host's grandparents after receiving the numerous gifts, Ding Xiang envisioned her father compromising. Once he acquiesced, these gifts would symbolize the final fulfillment of her filial piety. Henceforth, she planned to sever all ties and never look back, harboring no interest in encountering them again. The prospect of her original host's parents facing hardship due to the old woman's oppression no longer concerned her. Ding Xiang found solace in the fact that her father could withstand the turmoil and pressure from the elderly couple. As for Qiao Xian, Xiao Yunduan, and the others, they departed Huning City and lodged in an inn within a small town for the night. Xiao Yunduan, in consultation with Sun Bai and Sun Qian, urged them to remain vigilant on their journey to the capital. Acknowledging that the potential danger persisted until they returned to the capital, Xiao Yunduan emphasized the need to swiftly conceal all traces. By the time the capital reacted and dispatched investigators, any evidence would be elusive. While others might find safety in such actions, for Xiao Yunduan, Qiao Xian, and even Qiao Wei, this marked the beginning of a new chapter. Sun Bai, Sun Qian, and the dozens of elite guards from the East Palace remained vigilant, shielding Xiao Yunduan and Qiao Xian. In the blink of an eye, more than 10 days had passed, and everything proceeded smoothly. With another 10 days until the potential return to the capital in late September, anticipation filled the air, sparking excitement among the group. Even Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan found a sense of relief. One evening, they arrived at Yenzhou. The local magistrate, informed in advance, organized a banquet to welcome them. Simultaneously, the magistrate's wife arranged a gathering in the backyard, inviting local ladies to accompany them, extending a special invitation to Qiao Xian and Qiao Wei. The women concluded their festivities early, fatigued from the journey. They returned home to freshen up, and Qiao Xian, mindful of her husband's exertion, sent Li Xia and others to rest while she sought reprieve herself. Reflecting on her concerns about the strain her husband endured on the way back to the capital, Qiao Xian pondered the toll such events took. While a small town might offer respite, a state or county residence often led to grand banquets. It would be manageable if they were aware of their imminent travels the next day, but sometimes they encountered hosts eager to prolong the evening, organizing elaborate performances, and encouraging prolonged revelry. Such well-intentioned yet tiring gatherings often involve drinks, dance, and fervent wishes to keep the festivities alive until dawn. As Qiao Xian contemplated these thoughts, a sense of foreboding crept over her. Before she could discern the cause, a sudden, intense pain and dizziness overwhelmed her. Her vision darkened, and she slumped to the ground, losing consciousness. Upon regaining awareness, Qiao Xian found herself bound and gagged, a cloth stifling her cries. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 15:16. Unexpectedly, it had been the rival activating her superpower. Qiao Xian realized she was seated in a simple intermediate sedan chair, swiftly carried by 2 sedan chairmen through the forest. 4 individuals led the way and covered the rear, leaving her uncertain about their destination and temporarily unable to escape. While she could control plans to attack, breaking free from the restraints on her body proved challenging. As they ascended the mountain, any attempt to use her powers to trip them risked her own fall. Despite her predicament, Qiao Xian found relief, contemplating where they might be taking her. Her primary concern, however, was for Xiao Yunduan. Aware that her disappearance would undoubtedly cause anxiety for her husband, Qiao Xian hoped he would quickly find composure. Recognizing her own lapse in vigilance, she mused on her journey. Initially cautious, she unconsciously relaxed upon reaching the relay station, assuming safety. The past 10 days had been uneventful, leading to a gradual relaxation of her guard. Moreover, both she and Sun Bai believed that Xiao Yunduan would be the target of their adversaries. After all, in everyone's perception, she was closely associated with Xiao Yunduan, making her a potential starting point for solving the perceived problem. To her surprise, she became the target instead. Qiao Xian pondered the motives behind her abduction. Were they attempting to use her as leverage to coerce Xiao Yunduan into submission? As a woman, could they genuinely believe that a man with a promising future would bow down to a woman? Questions raced through her mind. Could they not handle the situation themselves? If not, why assume Xiao Yunduan could achieve what they could not? As the sedan chair continued its journey, she heard the words, "Here we are. This is it." Hearing voices, the sedan chair jolted to a rough stop. Sensing the commotion, Qiao Xian shut her eyes, relaxed her body, and feigned unconsciousness. Despite her closed eyelids, she sensed a sudden surge of brightness and felt someone attempting to pull her out. Her eyelids twitched, and she cautiously opened her eyes, locking gazes with the man. Startled by her apparent awakening, the man halted, his sneer revealing his disdain. "Madame Xiao is awake." Qiao Xian shot him a fierce glare. The man's sneer deepened. "Come on." Seizing her arm, he forcibly guided her to stand, prompting Qiao Xian to rise unsteadily. Her hands were bound behind her, but her feet remained unrestricted. Assessing the surroundings through her powers, she realized they were situated in a remote forest, far removed from the city. They stood halfway up a concealed mountain, with a broad cave more than 10 meters behind them. Was their intent to confine her within this cave? Before she could process further, a push urged her towards the cave entrance. "Move." Complying, Qiao Xian lowered her gaze and stepped obediently into the cavern. The 6 men clad in green, supposedly guarding her, conversed among themselves with laughter, displaying an air of relaxation. They didn't take Qiao Xian seriously, viewing her merely as a feeble woman unlikely to risk fleeing into the woods. Guarding her seemed a trivial task in their eyes. Regrettably, their time and energy invested in this desolate place were futile. The oppressive atmosphere suggested an impending sense of suffocation. Once inside the cave, Qiao Xian found a spot against the wall, quietly lowering her head. Observing her subdued demeanor, one of the men glanced over and sneered, "You're so quiet. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 15-17, Kidnapped. Another person chimed in, as expected of the wife of the Primus. "She's also much bolder than others. She's very tactful." Hearing this, the others cast glances at Qiao Xian, exchanging surprised looks. Indeed, any other lady would have been terrified and tearful, yet Madame Xiao remained silent since waking up, exuding an uncanny calmness. Could it be that the wife of the Primus was truly exceptional? Listen carefully, be honest. The area within a radius of dozens of kilometers is filled with deep mountains and forests. There are ferocious beasts and countless poisonous snakes and insects. If you dare to have any thoughts of escaping, I advise you to quickly give up on that idea. Internally cursing at the irony of being lectured while bound and gagged, Qiao Xian grumbled. "You've blocked my mouth and tied me up, how do you expect me to run away? Why bother with such unnecessary warnings?" Ignoring her, the 6 individuals settled on the ground, engaging in casual conversation before succumbing to sleep. Clearly exhausted from transporting her to this remote location, the snoring of one person grated on Qiao Xian's nerves. Frustrated, she thought, can't you all be a bit more conscious of guarding a hostage? Is it wise to sleep so soundly? How little regard you have for me. Is this your idea of being non-threatening or just plain insulting? Attempting to move her arm, she quickly dismissed the idea of breaking free. Their high regard for her was evident in the flexible and professionally applied rope. If it were Ai, he might have found a way out, but for her, escape seemed impossible. All Qiao Xian could do was wait for them to remember to untie her, biding her time for future plans. The 6 of them slept deeply, unaware of the passing time. As they stirred awake, the sky was painted with the hues of sunset, signaling the approaching darkness. Surprised by their prolonged slumber, they grumbled amongst themselves and swiftly dispersed to gather firewood, kindle a fire, fetch water, and procure dry rations. Observing only 2 remaining individuals in the cave, Qiao Xian attempted to struggle against her restraints. Angrily, the 2 men scowled at her. "What are you doing?" Qiao Xian strained, her eyes wide with effort. Impatiently, one of them stepped closer and brusquely removed the cloth gagging her. "Shut up." Sighing softly, Qiao Xian pleaded, "Sir, could you untie me? I can't escape from this place. It's incredibly uncomfortable staying here all day." Glancing at her, the man considered her request. Realizing her odds of escape were slim, untying her would relieve the burden of keeping a constant watch. He sneered in response, "Behave yourself." With her hands freed, Qiao Xian massaged her bruised and bloodied wrists, inwardly sneering at their complacency. Once liberated, they could abandon hope of apprehending her. Gently flexing her legs, Qiao Xian stood up and quietly made her way out of the cave. "Stop. What do you think you're doing?" In a hushed tone, Qiao Xian addressed them, "Lord, I need to release myself." The two men overheard her and erupted into crude laughter. One of them teasingly remarked, "Oh, I see. But it's not safe outside. Shall I accompany you, Madam Xiao?" "Ha ha ha ha. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 15:18 Easily dealing with feigning embarrassment, Qiao Xian lowered her head and ran out. The two men laughed boisterously behind her, with one of them still making wretched comments. "Sigh, what a shame. What a pity." Another playfully scolded him, "Rein in your thoughts. She's the wife of the Primus and the Minister of Revenue." The person sneered, "Do I need you to tell me? Don't I know?" While they had captured the wife of an imperial court official, the wife of the Primus, they wouldn't dare harm her. Word could easily spread, and the consequences would be dire. His Highness, the Crown Prince, was already in a fierce political struggle with Lord Xiao. If Lord Xiao and his wife were killed, the blame would fall on Lord Xiao, but harming Madame Xiao would be a different matter. His Highness would be deemed shameless, leading officials to question their allegiance. Qiao Xian utilized her superpower to locate the two men collecting firewood nearby. Using a rock, she swiftly incapacitated them. Before they could raise an alarm, she silenced them with a stuffing of grass and gravel in their mouths, securely tying them up and concealing them in thick bushes. Indifferent to their fate, Qiao Xian left it to their luck. These assailants dared to ambush and capture her, and she saw no reason to be polite. Opting for leniency, she refrained from using her powers to strangle them directly with vines. Continuing her search with her superpower, Qiao Xian intercepted the two men collecting water on their way back to the cave. Knocking them out, she tied them up and discreetly concealed them in the lush grass. Easily maneuvering in her forest surroundings, Qiao Xian ensured they would wake up unaware of the events that transpired, only realizing they were ambushed and unconscious. Surveying the area, she located a spot to rest. The cave lacked cover, and she needed to wait until the two men entered the forest. While she had the option to take action openly, doing so in an exposed space would draw unnecessary attention. She refrained from revealing her superpower to anyone, not intending to let others know. As the sun gradually set in the west, the afterglow faded, and dusk descended. The mountain rocks cast long shadows, dimming the surroundings. In the cave, the two men finally sensed something amiss. The person who went outside seemed to be taking an unusually long time. Concerned, one of them speculated, did that woman manage to escape? The other, feeling uneasy, frowned. This, out in the middle of nowhere. How could she dare? While they weren't overly anxious about their comrades, assuming they might have encountered wild animals, Madame Xiao's prolonged absence unsettled them. Both men regretted their confidence, realizing that if they had foreseen this, they wouldn't have been so certain she wouldn't dare to run. Someone should have shadowed her from a distance. She might not have escaped. Perhaps she got lost. Yes. That seems the most likely explanation. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 15:19, Overnight, let's go and look. Absolutely. The two hastily grabbed their weapons and left the cave. Knowing that His Highness intended to use Xiao Xian to deal with Lord Xiao, they couldn't afford anything happening to Madame Xiao now. Losing her due to their negligence would certainly lead to consequences from His Highness. Their certainty that Xiao Xian wouldn't dare to venture far left them dumbfounded, clueless about her whereabouts. They chose a direction with less difficulty and fewer trees, searching together. Regardless of their chosen path, Xiao Xian managed to elude them once again. Returning to the cave with a triumphant clap, Xiao Xian found solace in its secrecy. Equipped with bamboo mats, blankets, and pillows, she fashioned a comfortable space. While her space held the aroma of rice, noodles, and eggs, she opted for pastries and fresh fruits, avoiding further movement. The night had fallen completely, leaving any discussions for tomorrow. Considering what reasonable excuse to provide when she met him later occupied her thoughts. Tomorrow, she planned to use methods to interrogate the captives, even though she was certain it was the fourth prince's doing. Clearing any doubts seemed prudent. That night, Xiao Xian found it difficult to sleep. Firstly, worry for Xiao Yunduan consumed her, leaving her uncertain of his fate after her disappearance. Secondly, her ability to sense everything within her range made her unafraid of beasts or snakes, but only when she was awake. Falling asleep carried the risk of being attacked by a ferocious beast. Despite makeshift beds in the forest, it couldn't provide true comfort. As the long night passed and daylight returned, Xiao Xian felt relief and finally fell into a deep sleep. Upon awakening, more than an hour and a half had passed, with the sun high in the sky. The mountain breeze carried a humid mist, and the birds filled the air with their chirping, creating a refreshing atmosphere. Xiao Xian stretched, packed up her belongings, grabbed some food from her space for breakfast, and set out to find the individuals who had tied her up the previous night. Xiao Xian had scattered them in different locations, sensing their continued survival. None of them had encountered any dangerous beasts, and they were all alive. Struggling fervently, they attempted to expel the gravel, mud, grass, and leaves from their mouths, but all their efforts ended in failure. They had undoubtedly experienced an eventful night, evident from the insect bites on their faces, necks, and hands, marked by red and purple welts. Feeling a sense of satisfaction, Xiao Xian contemplated their plight. Having endured a challenging day yesterday, she felt it was time for them to taste a bit of suffering. Approaching one of them, she witnessed the fierce struggle of a man who, upon hearing the commotion, strained to lift his head. His eyes turned fierce as he intensified his struggle upon spotting Xiao Xian. Ha! Xiao Xian sneered from a distance. My helper has arrived. You deserve your misfortune. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 15:20, Interrogation. I have a few questions for you. Answer honestly, and you might just make it out of this alive. If you're not up for it, then we can end this right here. I can find someone else willing to cooperate. Let's test your endurance, shall we? Or do you fancy your chances at escape? The man's face contorted, attempting a mocking expression as he continued to glare at Xiao Xian. Remaining composed, Xiao Xian advised, think carefully. You've got one shot, and once it's gone, there's no turning back. There are 6 of you, and I don't need your cooperation. I may be just a woman, but cross me, and you won't get off lightly. Consider this, a few scars on your face and hands, would they attract creatures like you? Think about it. Fear replaced anger in the man's eyes as he stared at Xiao Xian, a chill running down his spine. Madame Xiao's tactics were ruthless. Xiao Xian smirked, make your decision, a simple blink will do. No lies unless you think you're cleverer than the Primus wife. The man struggled with his response. He had planned to deceive Qiao Xian, but her reputation and demeanor intimidated him. She was the wife of the powerful Primus, Lord Shao, who had chosen her over the elder miss of the Tian family. Her audacity in publicly humiliating the fourth princess consort showcased her extraordinary courage. Facing capture the previous day, she showed no fear. It was evident her resilience surpassed ordinary people. Now, confronted with her stern words, lying seemed impossible. Bound tightly by vines, the man dreaded spending another night in the chaotic grass patch. The mere thought of enduring it was nightmarish. Madame Xiao's threat of cutting his face and hands, possibly attracting swarms of ants, sent shivers down his spine. It was too terrifying. This woman was too terrifying. He teetered on the brink of collapse, anxiously blinking, afraid that Qiao Xian might renege on her promises. Qiao Xian chuckled, extracting weeds from his mouth. The man spat out grass and stones, shaking his head, instantly feeling more at ease. To his surprise, Qiao Xian didn't immediately release him. Instead, he looked at her expectantly, eager for her questions. Anticipating her queries, he couldn't wait for her to be satisfied so that he could be freed. Qiao Xian regarded him with disdain. "Is your master the fourth prince?" Guiltily avoiding eye contact, the man nodded stiffly. With a cold tone, Qiao Xian pressed, "Who is working for you in Yenzhou?" "Yes, yes. Deputy Prefect." "What's the purpose of confining me in this place?" I don't know. His Highness only ordered us to keep you under house arrest and trap you here. He didn't provide any further instructions." "I swear it's the truth. I wouldn't dare lie." Snorting, Qiao Xian didn't doubt his words. Those assigned such tasks likely lacked knowledge of the upper echelons and merely followed orders without much insight. "What plans has the fourth prince made for the Yenzhou residence? If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 1521, Meeting Xie Jingrong here. "I don't know." Qiao Xian fixed him with a cold stare, making the man's scalp prickle. "I genuinely don't know. Our orders were to bring Madam here. We're kept in the dark about everything else. Seems reasonable that someone like you, toiling away at menial tasks, wouldn't be privy to much information. I'll take your word for it. Consider yourselves fortunate, the heavens are merciful. Your lives won't be forfeit today." Walking up to him, Qiao Xian produced a dagger from her spatial storage and sliced through half of the rattan. Calmly, she instructed, "Free yourself and put in some hard work. 2 hours should suffice." The man hadn't expected such leniency from Qiao Xian. With a glimmer of hope, he nodded vigorously. Yes, thank you, Madame Xiao." Qiao Xian sneered and moved away. The man, relieved but cautious, hurriedly started freeing himself, fearing she might change her mind and dispatch her men to finish the job. Qiao Xian unleashed her superpower, spreading it across the area. Suddenly, a sharp pain pierced her head. Grunting, she clutched her temples, seeking support from a nearby tree. After a while, she sighed in relief, slowly regaining composure. She had retracted her superpower, recognizing that she had likely strained herself by using it excessively. Continued use could jeopardize her physical well-being. It became clear she needed to exercise caution and minimize superpower usage for the time being. In releasing it earlier, she hadn't reached the forest's edge, leaving her disoriented about the closest direction to Yenzhou. Qiao Xian grumbled inwardly. These people moved too swiftly, covering quite a distance on foot. However, she beamed and gazed in a specific direction. Her luck had always been on her side. Even if she hadn't found the right path, she stumbled upon someone she knew. Unexpectedly, it was Xie Jingrong. It had been 2 years since their last encounter, right? Mr. Xie, draped in white, exuded an aura of gentle elegance. A sense of familiarity washed over Qiao Xian at the sight of her old friend. Xie Jingrong, along with Xie Dong, Xie Shi, and an unfamiliar servant, stood in front of a waterfall about 15 miles away. The cascading water created a rumbling sound, and the surroundings were picturesque. Xie Jingrong stood contemplatively in front of the waterfall, seemingly there to appreciate the mountain scenery. With them in close proximity, Qiao Xian knew that the master and servant likely knew the way out. Locating them would solve her predicament. Although she couldn't use her superpowers to navigate the forest, periodic checks on Xie Jingrong's position were still within her capabilities. Guided by her superpower, Qiao Xian moved towards Xie Jingrong without hesitation, brimming with excitement. The waterfall's scenic beauty was captivating. Xie Jingrong showed no sign of immediate departure, and lunchtime was approaching. The prospect of the master and servant lingering for a meal and brief rest worked in Qiao Xian's favor. Qiao Xian's swift pace, a task that might pose difficulties for others in the dense forest, was effortlessly managed by her. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1522. Someone. The lush vegetation and entwined vines in the forest posed no obstacle for Qiao Xian. She effortlessly maneuvered through, avoiding snakes, ants, poisonous insects, and wild beasts with ease. In a mere 2 hours, Qiao Xian reached Xie Jingrong. Xie Jingrong truly came to the mountains to savor the scenery. Over the past 2 years, he had traversed numerous mountains, rivers, famed historical sites, and uncharted forests. His journey held no specific purpose, he did as he pleased. Xie Dong and Xie Shi had already set up a fire, cheerfully roasting 2 pheasants they had caught. Simultaneously, they boiled soup in a medium-sized clay jar. Unaccustomed to hunting, the two hadn't captured these pheasants. Their swiftness was notable, but hunting remained beyond their skills. Another servant, Xie Miao, had taken care of that. Unlike Xie Dong and Xie Shi, Xie Miao, also a member of the Xie family servant staff, differed in his background. He had practiced martial arts since childhood, ranking among the most skilled among the younger guards. Due to the old Madame Xie's concerns for eldest young master's safety, she assigned Xie Miao to accompany him on his travels. Xie Miao's eyebrows raised, and he spoke in a hushed tone, "Young master, it seems someone is approaching. I'll go check." With a nod and a smile, Xie Jingrong advised, "Just don't startle them." "Understood, young master." Encounters in the wilderness were not novel for them. Woodcutters, hunters, herb gatherers, or those rushing past were common sightings. They had even come to the aid of others twice before. What they didn't expect this time was encountering a woman. Both Xie Miao and Qiao Xian were momentarily taken aback, but Qiao Xian quickly offered a friendly smile. Xie Miao froze, eyeing Qiao Xian with wariness. A rush of thoughts flooded his mind. Was she a demon, a fae, or some kind of spirit? The presence of a young single woman in such pristine condition within the wilderness was already peculiar. Her friendly smile, as if they were acquainted, only heightened the strangeness. Truth be told, he didn't recognize her at all. Observing Xie Miao's cautious reaction, Qiao Xian felt a twinge of annoyance. Despite her knowing who this man was and where Xie Jingrong could be found, he had never met her and remained oblivious to her identity. Directly asking Xie Jingrong might raise suspicions, so she refrained. The situation was indeed unusual, smiling at a stranger alone in the deep mountains and forest. Normally, when a young woman encountered a man in such a place, her instinct would be fear and a scream. Qiao Xian pondered if she had miscalculated. When she smiled, she had to feign ignorance, giving her smile a strained quality as if she were forcing it. Her semi-forced smile attempted to conceal her feigned calmness and vigilance. Big brother. Are you a hunter from the mountains or perhaps a villager from a nearby village? Xia Miao's suspicion began to waver slightly as he sensed her pretense of calmness. This was the cue for Qiao Xian to continue. I don't know how to get out of here. Xia Miao couldn't ignore the fact that the woman had something important to convey. While he wasn't eager to pry, thinking of his young master made him hesitate. Finally, he relented. Follow me. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1523. Almost going wrong. The young master was compassionate. If this woman had faced persecution and lost her way in the forest, the young master would undoubtedly feel remorse if he didn't offer assistance. Surprisingly, the man changed his mind swiftly, leaving Qiao Xian pleased. She nodded gratefully. Thank you, big brother. Xia Miao shot her a brief glance and led her back. Upon Qiao Xian's arrival, Xia Dong and Xia Shi turned around instinctively, their mouths agape in shock. Equally taken aback, Qiao Xian cried out and stared at them in bewilderment. She then turned to Xie Jingrong, whose back was initially facing her, and asked tentatively, Are you young Master Xie? This time, it was Xia Miao's turn to widen his eyes. Xie Jingrong's heart skipped a beat. He swiftly turned around, confirming Qiao Xian's identity. Madame Xiao. Rushing toward her, he bombarded her with questions. What are you doing here? Where is Lord Xiao? What's going on? Xia Miao scratched his head, feeling a bit overwhelmed. Something seemed amiss. Attempting to feign distress, Qiao Xian managed to muster a thin layer of mist in her eyes. Young Master Xia, I'm so fortunate. She sighed with a mix of surprise and joy. It's a long story. Xie Jingrong invited her to sit under a tree and discuss matters. Meanwhile, he instructed Xie Dong and Xie Shi to roast meat and prepare soup. Are you hungry, Madame Xiao? Have something to eat first. Feeling a bit hungry, Qiao Xian nodded and expressed her gratitude. She then recounted her tale. Most details were straightforward, but Qiao Xian needed a plausible explanation for how she single-handedly incapacitated the 6 assailants. Consequently, she claimed to have fortuitously acquired potent knockout medicines during her time in the capital of Qingdi. Given the tumultuous journey, she kept these medicines handy for emergencies. Surprisingly, those acquired knockout medicines proved invaluable, providing the means to incapacitate the assailants and secure their escape. In the dense forest, determining the correct direction proved challenging. Qiao Xian, feeling helpless, decided to choose a direction arbitrarily. Her plan was to walk and assess the situation, opting to swim downstream if she encountered a river. As luck would have it, I never expected to encounter you, young Master Xia. My luck is truly remarkable. Qiao Xian's bright smile lifted Xie Jingrong's spirits. Madame Xiao, fret not. Let's take a break, and we'll head to Yenzhou City. Lord Xiao and the others must be anxiously awaiting us. Thank you, young master. I'm truly sorry for disrupting your peace this time. No need, Madame Xiao. I didn't have any specific plans. My whereabouts aren't a concern. Seemingly casually, Xie Jingrong asked Qiao Xian about the direction she came from. Standing, he signaled for Xia Miao to join him. Go back and find them. Take care of those people. Xia Miao was momentarily stunned. The eldest son of the Xia family wasn't a mere scholar but the heir to the family. Such a directive wasn't unusual. Yet, Xia Miao noted that it was the first time his young master had explicitly asked him to eliminate a group of individuals. He comprehended the implications behind "take care of those people." Young master, I can't leave your side. What if? There's no what if. A journey of a few miles is nothing to you. Go and return quickly. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1524, asking for that. Xia Miao hesitated, ready to voice that it might not be necessary. After all, wasn't Madame Xiao already out of danger? Why resort to killing them all? Unbeknownst to him, Xie Jingrong's intention was to eliminate those individuals as a warning to the fourth prince and to prevent any potential loose talk. While Qiao Xian, as a court official's wife, was unlikely to face harm from the fourth prince's orders, assuming the fourth prince had a modicum of sense, it wasn't guaranteed that the servants wouldn't spread inappropriate rumors once they were outside. Xie Jingrong couldn't afford to let Qiao Xian's name be associated with any untoward words. To him, a few expendable servants were inconsequential when weighed against Qiao Xian's reputation. The plan was to discreetly dispose of them to ensure Qiao Xian's name remained untarnished. Having spent an entire day and night in captivity, Qiao Xian was rescued halfway through the next day. Although she was with Xie Jingrong for the entire duration, she needed some time to recover from the ordeal. It was a flawed plan, hoping that Xiao Yunduan would keep Qiao Xian's disappearance a secret, allowing for a quiet return without anyone being the wiser. Understanding his young master's temperament, Xie Miao sighed and reluctantly agreed, heading to silence those people. Once Qiao Xian departed, the man swiftly struggled free from the vines, surprising Qiao Xian with his speed. While the fourth prince's men were competent, they were no match for Qiao Xian in the forest. After breaking free, the man hurriedly sought out his companions. In no time, all 6 of them were liberated. Throughout the night, the 6 endured mosquito bites and the relentless mountain wind. Bound by the unforgiving mountain vines, their limbs and bloodlines tormented them, causing intense suffering. Gritting their teeth, their expressions contorted in ferocious curses. Enraged and battered, they harbored a burning desire to extract revenge on Qiao Xian. The ordeal had left them terrified. Simultaneously, a chill ran down their spines as they contemplated their near-death experience. Fortunately, the individuals who intervened and attacked were solely focused on rescuing Qiao Xian and didn't go as far as killing them. The realization sank in, Qiao Xian was the sole mastermind, and no one was coming to their rescue. After some time, the 6 regained their composure. Seated together, they engaged in a heated discussion, their emotions a turbulent mix of anger and fear. Perplexed, they couldn't fathom how the rescue team had arrived so swiftly, catching them completely off guard. Their predicament was a result of their own negligence and overconfidence. Convinced that no one would locate them, they had let their guard down, becoming unsuspecting victims of Qiao Xian's plot. They acknowledged that a touch more vigilance would have averted this calamity. Initially deeming the task straightforward, they had instead bungled it entirely. Their survival now hinged on the mercy of the other party. What course of action should they take? Returning in this state, they were certain that His Highness wouldn't show them any leniency. Chase her. We must pursue her. We need to reclaim her. No time to waste. Let's go, now. Agreed. Chasing Qiao Xian became imperative. Whether they could successfully retrieve her was uncertain, but at the very least, they needed to convey to His Highness that they had made every effort. Upon Qiao Xian's departure, she inadvertently left a trail of crushed grass and scattered leaves, a subtle sign that might escape ordinary notice but was sufficient for them. Little did the 6 unsuspecting individuals realize that, by giving chase, they were unwittingly tempting fate. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1525. Xia Miao diligently traced the signs left by Qiao Xian and soon located the group on their way back. With skill surpassing theirs, he expertly concealed himself and caught them off guard. Swiftly deploying poisonous hidden weapons, he killed 2 instantly and left 2 injured before they could recover from their initial shock. By the time the last one attempted to flee, Xia Miao swiftly caught up and dispatched him with a single strike. Glancing at the fallen 6, Xia Miao nonchalantly sheathed his sword. In the desolate mountains with few inhabitants and scant decent paths, the remains would be swiftly claimed by the voracious beasts. There was no need for him to trouble himself with cleaning up the aftermath. Unbeknownst to anyone, Qiao Xian's account to Xia Jingrong was truthful, and there was no reason to doubt her words. Worried about his young master, Xia Miao hastened his return. To his surprise, he found Madame Xiao unconscious, lying on the soft grass beneath a tree's shade. Xia Jingrong, along with Xia Dong and Xia Shi, appeared visibly concerned. Shocked, Xia Miao approached and exclaimed, "Young master." Xia Jingrong diverted his attention from Qiao Xian, casting a glance at Xia Miao. She might have fainted from shock and exhaustion. "I fear she won't be fit to travel tonight. Find a suitable spot, and well spend the night in the forest." Given her current state, it was uncertain when she would regain consciousness, and her tired body warranted rest. Considering this, Xia Miao agreed and instructed Xia Dong and Xia Shi to locate a suitable spot for the night. Observing Qiao Xian, Xia Jingrong felt not concern about the night ahead but a subtle sense of happiness. She was unlike any other woman he had encountered. Initially driven by curiosity, he unwittingly delved deeper into her world. The more attention he paid, the more intriguing she became, imprinting herself in his heart, an indelible mark that refused to fade. He acknowledged the wrongness of these sentiments, understanding that he shouldn't feel this way. But attempts to uproot these feelings only intensified them. Though outwardly composed, concealing his thoughts from others, he grappled with an internal turmoil. During that period, his heart churned with pain, fearing that one day he'd be unable to conceal his emotions from her, leading to an awkward confrontation. Seeking solace, he left the province, wandering in an attempt to forget. Unexpectedly, fate intervened, and their reunion unfolded dramatically under unforeseen circumstances. Only her presence, and no one else. In Xia Jingrong's heart, a whirlwind of emotions stirred. Joy, surprise, disappointment, and loneliness intertwined, creating a complex tapestry of feelings. Yet, joy predominated. This unexpected journey presented a unique opportunity to be alone with her, to observe her without any pretense. About 2 hours later, Qiao Xian stirred, awakening to the unfolding chapter of their shared journey. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1526, Perseverance. Slowly opening her eyes, Qiao Xian experienced a brief moment of confusion as she took in the sight of the blue sky and treetops. Xia Jingrong, masking his emotions, greeted her with a gentle smile. "Madame Xiao, are you awake? Are you feeling unwell? You scared me when you fainted just now. Luckily, your pulse and breathing are normal. I think you must be too tired." A hint of embarrassment crossed Qiao Xian's face as she sat up slowly with her hands. Xia Jingrong instinctively reached out to assist but hesitated and withdrew his hands. "Maybe I'm really tired. I'm fine now. Fortunately, I was lucky to meet you, young Master Xia." Xia Jingrong responded with a gentle smile, his eyes reflecting kindness. "Don't worry, I will ensure you reach Yanzhou City safely." Qiao Xian exclaimed, turning her gaze skyward. "No time to lose, young master, let's go now." Despite having at least 3 or 4 hours before nightfall, she urged Xia Jingrong to hasten their pace to exit the forest and reach a farmhouse by dusk. Frowning in disagreement, Xia Jingrong voiced concern. "But I'm afraid your body can't endure it." "Don't worry, with Xia Miao here, you'll be safe spending the night in the mountains." With the 6 unstable factors resolved, there seemed no imminent need for action. However, Xiao Xian was anxious, pleading, "No, I've been missing for a night and a day. I won't be back until tomorrow. I don't know what's happening there, so I have to return as soon as possible. I'm already rested, it's okay, let's get going." More pressing was Xiao Xian's realization that her superpower was weakening. Despite feeling physically rested, her ability was severely diminished. Now, she could only sense a radius of about 3,000 to 4,000 meters. If she intended to manipulate vines and plants for an attack, the potency would be significantly diminished. She doubted her ability to handle the 6 individuals from yesterday in a single stroke. The reason behind this sudden weakening of her superpower eluded her, leaving uncertainty about its fate, whether it would continue to wane or vanish altogether. While panic was a natural response, she reminded herself that the superpower had been an unexpected anomaly. If it faded away, acceptance was the only option. Concerns lingered, however, regarding potential effects on her body. A further weakening or the risk of fainting in this challenging environment would pose significant problems. Although aware that Xie Jingrong wouldn't abandon her, it would undoubtedly burden him. In a village, securing a carriage would simplify their travel. The thought triggered a pang of discomfort in Xie Jingrong's heart. Observing Xiao Xian's anxiety, he initially attributed it to her worry for Xiao Yunduan. Yet, upon reflection, he acknowledged the genuine affection between the couple, understanding her longing for him. Contemplating the likely unfavorable situation in Yenzhou City, Xie Jingrong hesitated. "Are you truly okay?" Xiao Xian affirmed, "I am fine, truly. Let's hurry and leave before nightfall. We can't afford to waste any more time." "Very well," Xie Jingrong sighed with a smile. "If you're not well, you must inform me, or I fear Lord Xiao will chase after me." Xiao Xian burst into laughter. "He won't do. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 1527. Something happened. Xie Dong and Xie Shi set out to locate Xie Miao, and the 5 of them departed together. As they traversed the path from which Xie Jingrong had come, he appeared visibly anxious throughout the journey. His gaze frequently shifted towards Xiao Xian, prompting him to inquire if she needed to rest or if she felt uncomfortable pushing herself forward. Xiao Xian admitted to feeling a bit tired and weak, but fortunately, her superpower remained unaffected, providing her with some relief and enabling her to persevere. After taking 3 breaks, they emerged from the forest after sunset, bathed in the radiant afterglow of the setting sun. Located less than 5 miles from the forest, a village with over 100 families presented itself. Xie Dong approached a local family, securing permission for the group to stay. Given the distance of more than 30 miles from Yenzhou City, entering the city that night was impractical. Thus, Xie Jingrong suggested that Xie Miao enter the city at dawn the next day to gather information and arrange for a reliable carriage. Xie Miao readily agreed. Xie Jingrong, Xiao Xian, and Xiao Yunduan were acquainted, so the attention Xie Dong and Xie Shi observed their young master paying to Xiao Xian did not strike them as odd. Instead, they deemed it perfectly natural. While Xie Miao was unfamiliar with Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan, he was aware that his young master had 2 friends. However, he couldn't help but sense something amiss in the way his young master was particularly attentive to Madame Xiao. With the assistance of local farmers, the group, despite facing basic conditions, managed to enjoy a warm meal and secure a place to sleep. The night passed in tranquility. Before the break of dawn, Xie Miao was dispatched to the city by his young master to wake him up. Xie Miao, choosing silence, Xie Miao accepted his destiny without protest. In the city, everything appeared normal. Li Xia and Li Qiu, who had retired for some rest, remained oblivious to Xiao Xian's absence until they were awakened by Xiao Yunduan returning from the banquet. Upon hearing the news, both were so terrified that their faces paled, and tears welled up in their eyes. Anxious and irritated, Xiao Yunduan, unable to extract any information from them, instructed them to secure the room and prevent anyone from entering. He then proceeded stern-faced to Qiao Wei's location. At that moment, Mian Mian was already asleep, sharing the same room as Qiao Wei. Qiao Wei lay on the bed, while Mian Mian rested on the couch. They had not left each other's side. Yi occupied the outer room of the bedroom. Although Qiao Wei harbored some dissatisfaction, her survival took precedence, so she refrained from voicing any objections. Upon Xiao Yunduan's arrival, Yi woke up first. "Lord! Wake Qiao Wei." Xiao Yunduan's face turned a shade of green. While Yi was unaware of the details, the intensity of the adult's anger indicated that this was no ordinary matter. Annoyed, he couldn't help but wonder if Qiao Wei was some kind of supernatural being. He and Mian Mian hadn't left each other's side even for an inch. Could she have found an opportunity to turn into a demon, a fae, or some other malevolent entity? Agreeing, Yi hastily knocked on the door to summon Mian Mian. Mian Mian rubbed her eyes, sat up, and responded. She dressed quickly and went to wake Qiao Wei. Qiao Wei, feigning ignorance, attempted to ignore the commotion. The moment she emerged from the bedroom, Xiao Yunduan kicked Qiao Wei so forcefully that she cried out in pain, collapsing to the ground. Clutching her chest, she looked up in shock and anger. "You!" Xiao Yunduan maintained a stoic expression on his cold face and spoke in an icy tone. "What have you done?" Qiao Wei was taken aback, and a sudden realization struck her. Something must have happened to Qiao Xian. It was only when Qiao Xian was involved that Xiao Yunduan would exhibit such demeanor. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1528. Not a threat. Envy, undoubtedly, tinged her emotions, yet her joy nearly betrayed itself through a smile. However, as Xiao Yunduan's cold gaze met hers, any hint of happiness evaporated. I don't know what you're talking about, you don't know." Xiao Yunduan advanced slowly, indifferent to the fact that Qiao Wei was far less robust than him. He pressed the sole of his foot onto the back of her hand. Qiao Wei, startled, tried to retract her hand, but Xiao Yunduan tightened his grip. As pain surged through her, Qiao Wei, gripped by fear, paled, immobilized. "What do you want?" Xiao Yunduan spoke with a frigid tone. "Answer my question. Tell me the truth. I don't care how you communicate with outsiders. Understand this well. You're still within my grasp. Even if I can't end your life, dismantling you will be effortless. Would you like to test that?" Qiao Wei's eyes widened in fear, a shiver coursing down her spine. She was afraid of Xiao Yunduan. When this fear began, she couldn't pinpoint. She knew his words weren't mere threats. "I truly don't know. I'm clueless." Qiao Wei lost control and sobbed. "I'm under constant surveillance by those two every day. What can I possibly do? Moreover, you're aware I'm just a pawn in their game. He is already dead, they know their plan is exposed. Why would they come after me?" Xiao Yunduan's cold countenance remained impassive. "You'd better stay ignorant, or I won't spare you. Henceforth, keep silent. I won't hesitate to take action if you disclose anything." Qiao Wei didn't dare to object. Trembling, she asked with a quivering voice, "Did something happen to Qiao Xian?" Xiao Yunduan shot her a sharp look. Her heart skipped a beat, and she dared not press further. "She's unwell." Mian Mian instantly grew anxious. "Sir, is madam all right?" "It's fine," Xiao Yunduan reassured, "she just needs some rest." "Thank goodness. Thank goodness. I won't disturb madam now. I'll pay my respects to her tomorrow." Xiao Yunduan nodded, casting a glance at Qiao Wei. "Keep an eye on her." "Don't worry, my lord." Xiao Yunduan departed. Qiao Wei let out a sigh of relief and slumped to the ground. After a moment, she shakily rose to her feet. Xiao Yunduan informed Sun Bai, Sun Qian, and Ah Yi, "Madam is missing." The three of them were shocked. "How is that possible? We've secured the post house since our arrival, maintained night patrols, and stayed vigilant. We didn't dare to be careless." "How could?" In a hushed tone, Xiao Yunduan interjected, "We are not the hosts here, so nothing should surprise us. Fortunately, she's only missing. I'm uncertain of their motives, but my wife should be safe. This information must not leak publicly. Well, say Madam is unwell, and we need to extend our stay in Yenzhou City for 2 more days. Ah Yi, keep a close watch on Qiao Wei. Sun Bai, Sun Qian, discreetly deploy your trusted aides to search for Madam. She's not an ordinary woman who breaks down in the face of trouble. If there's a chance, she'll leave some clues. Pay extra attention. And keep an eye on the local officials." Sun Bai and Sun Qian responded in hushed tones. "If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 1529, Arrangement. The two of them exchanged glances. While their instinct was to search for Madam, a lingering fear persisted that the other party might be attempting to lure them away and create a diversion. Thus, they couldn't afford to let their guard down. Xiao Yunduan then issued a directive to Ah Yi. "Tomorrow, you and Mianmian will escort Qiao Wei to Madam's side. Li Xia and Li Qiu alone won't suffice. Keep a close watch on Qiao Wei. Don't allow her any chance for deceit or subterfuge." "Yes, Lord." Xiao Yunduan harbored suspicions that someone was involved in this matter. If they had succeeded in some plot, they would likely take actions to reveal the fact that his wife was missing. Li Xia and Li Qiu might not be equipped to handle such a situation. That night, although the intermediate station appeared calm and ordinary, secret arrangements were being made. The next day, news circulated that Qiao Xian had caught a cold, necessitating the entire team to stay temporarily at the station. Upon hearing the news, the prefectural magistrate's wife, accompanied by the deputy prefect's wife and the 2 strategists' wives, paid a visit. With Qiao Wei present, she had to extend greetings to the magistrate's wife. Mianmian and Li Xia were also present, while Li Qiu remained with Qiao Xian to attend to her. Qiao Wei wasn't naive. She had pondered the situation throughout the night and suspected that something serious had happened to Qiao Xian, beyond a mere cold. The abrupt kick from Xiao Yunduan in the middle of the night only strengthened her conviction. Thinking of the kick, a dull pain pierced her chest, making her slightly anxious. Yet, an undercurrent of excitement and satisfaction surged within her. Finally, something had befallen that woman. It must be a significant event, and she believed she deserved it. Internally pleased, she refrained from entertaining any thoughts of mischief, especially after Xiao Yunduan's kick. During the visit of the magistrate's wife and others, she maintained a facade of politeness, asserting that Qiao Xian was indisposed and not receiving visitors. Had it not been for Xiao Yunduan's threat, she would have likely been less forthright. Even if she didn't openly express it, she might have dropped hints or made veiled insinuations. In contrast to her current honesty, when the deputy prefect's wife expressed deep concern and repeatedly expressed her desire to personally visit Madame Xiao, Qiao Wei had no option but to express genuine gratitude and politely decline. When the prefectural magistrate's wife proposed hiring a local doctor with exceptional medical skills, Qiao Wei endured her irritation and politely refused. The missed opportunity to stir up trouble irked Xiao Wei to the point of near exasperation. She couldn't seize the chance right in front of her due to fear and had to cover up for Qiao Xian. At noon, the prefect's wife and the deputy prefect's wife returned. Accompanied by 3 maids and 2 servants, they brought soup for Qiao Xian. A servant cheerfully called out, "Miss Li Xia, Miss Li Qiu." With an air of ease, they ascended the stairs with their offerings. The servant smiled and remarked, "What a coincidence. Both our madam and the deputy prefect's madam have instructed the kitchen to prepare this soup. We're here to deliver it to Madame Xiao. This soup contains ginseng and wolfberries. It's highly nourishing." Li Xia and Li Qiu promptly intervened. "The magistrate's wife and the deputy prefect's wife are too gracious. Leave the soup with us. Our mistress has just taken her medicine and is currently asleep. We cannot disturb her. Well, inform her upon waking. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 1530. Visit the maidservant expressed concern, saying, "I understand. Madame Xiao's sudden illness must be distressing. Our madam specifically instructed us to convey our regards and assess Madame Xiao's condition. Well, inform her upon our return. Could you allow us to enter and perform a kowtow? We assure you that we'll stand at a distance and not disturb Madame Xiao." Another servant added, "Absolutely. Our madam also emphasized the same. Miss, please consider allowing just the two of us to enter. By offering our respects and a quick glance, we can provide a reassuring report to Madam." Indeed. Li Xia and Li Qiu concealed their annoyance. Initially skeptical of the old master's warning about potential troublemakers, they now found themselves facing the reality of unwanted guests. As Li Xia and Li Qiu spoke, their expressions betrayed some irritation. It seemed that these visitors had intentions beyond mere well-wishing. "Everyone, please return. Our madam is currently not receiving guests. Once she recovers and regains her strength, she will naturally meet with you." Recognizing the dubious intentions of the visitors, Li Xia and Li Qiu wore unpleased expressions. Their tone was cold, and their displeasure was evident. In truth, the maids and servants sent by the deputy prefect's wife were also perplexed. They didn't understand why they were instructed to perform kowtows and pay respects to Madame Xiao. While the deputy prefect's wife cited it as a matter of etiquette, the genuine concern for Madame Xiao prompted some uncertainty. Even though they felt it might be excessive, they adhered to the instructions, trusting that the madam had her reasons. The aides from the prefectural magistrate's wife sided with the deputy prefect's wife's maid, aligning with her expressed concern for Madame Xiao. Failing to show adequate concern might imply a lack of consideration on their madam's part, a scenario they wished to avoid. Li Xia and Li Qiu's frosty expressions and cold tone made the servants from the magistrate's wife uneasy, considering a retreat. However, those from the deputy prefect's wife's side remained entangled, hesitant to concede the matter. She displayed such fervor that it made her uneasy about Madame Xiao's absence. Li Xia and Li Qiu were both irritated and vexed, but the other party seemed oblivious to their sentiments. To their surprise, the two maids carrying the food box attempted to bypass them and enter the house. Li Qiu, alarmed, exclaimed, "Stop, what are you doing?" A maidservant pulled Li Qiu aside, smiling forcefully. "Miss Li Qiu, Miss Li Xia, our madam is genuinely concerned. She frets over Madame Xiao and wishes to..." Before she could finish, another maidservant hastily interrupted, smiling at the other, "Let's enter and pay our respects to Madame Xiao. We can explain to Madame when we return." The other maidservant remained perplexed, not grasping the situation. "Ha!" She instinctively resisted being pulled away. "All of you! Halt!" Despite Li Xia and Li Qiu being restrained and pulled by others, the ongoing arguments drowned out their attempts to communicate effectively with the two maidservants heading inside. Mian Mian, who was in the room with Qiao Wei, rushed out, ignoring Qiao Wei. She intercepted the two maidservants. "What are you doing here? You're disturbing Madam," Mian Mian exclaimed. Unexpectedly, a servant forcefully pushed Li Xia aside and barged into the house. Since Madame Xiao is awake, we should perform a kowtow and pay our respects. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1531, Chased Away, The maidservant roughly shoved her once more, causing her to stagger. Just as she attempted to force her way in, a sudden sharp pain in the back of her knees sent her crashing to the ground with a cry. The others were left in shock. Yi, who had just finished lunch, swiftly rushed over. Wuxia and the rest breathed a sigh of relief and complained indignantly, Yi, these insolent servants are intolerable. They insist on intruding to disturb Madam, please drive them away. Yi agreed and cast a cold gaze in their direction. The maidservants, visibly frightened, instinctively stepped back. Without any ceremony, Yi lifted the fallen woman and casually tossed her aside. She screamed and rolled on the ground, her pride thoroughly bruised. While she suffered no physical injuries, her dignity was certainly in tatters. Li Qiu sneered, take your soup with you. Our madam won't have any appetite for it. These words only soured their expressions further. The maid representing the magistrate's wife hurriedly interjected, well. Miss Li Qiu, what do you mean? This is a token of my wife's goodwill. Miss Li Qiu, it's not suitable for you to decline on behalf of Madame Xiao, is it? Why not? It's none of your business whether it's suitable or not. Li Xiao retorted coldly. We suspect you have ill intentions. Why are you really here? To offer greetings. It's clear you're here to cause trouble. Why don't you leave? Do you need us to escort you out? Terrified, everyone glanced at Yi. Unwilling to face his forceful removal, they hurriedly made their exit. Upon hearing the report, the deputy prefect's wife's face darkened. She reprimanded her subordinate for mishandling the situation and sent him away in frustration. Such an incident must not be repeated. Now, she needed to devise an alternative plan. With Miss Qiao missing and not at the relay station, Lord Xiao remained remarkably composed. Little did he expect that the news would be so well concealed. His Highness had mandated the revelation of Miss Qiao's disappearance, necessitating the formulation of a plan. Yet, what approach should they take? The deputy prefect's wife promptly ordered someone to summon her husband. Despite their discussions, a viable solution eluded them. The previous disruptive method had already been employed, and its effectiveness was unlikely to be repeated. In a moment of desperation, the deputy prefect gritted his teeth and sneered. We cannot fail in such a trivial matter. How can His Highness entrust me with future tasks if we falter? I propose bribing a few individuals to set fire tonight and infiltrate during the ensuing chaos. His wife's eyes lit up, and she eagerly agreed. Old master, that's a brilliant idea. The chaos will create a convenient distraction for us. A sinister smile crossed the deputy prefect's face. I'll make the arrangements immediately. Time was of the essence. With His Highness having stationed someone in Yenzhou, they needed to establish contact. Lord Xiao had brought along Imperial Guards proficient in martial arts. Achieving this task solo would be challenging without His Highness' assistance. The deputy prefect's wife couldn't help but suggest, I don't understand His Highness' intentions. So what if Miss Qiao is missing? Why not use her as leverage against Xiao Yunduan? If he refuses to comply, he'll be a laughingstock, given his grand declarations of loyalty. Once his reputation is tarnished, I doubt he can maintain a foothold in the capital. The deputy prefect cautioned, we can't presume to know His Highness' plans. It's better for you to speak less. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1532, Pushing away. Raising his eyebrows, the deputy prefect admonished, you're too impulsive. Why didn't you plan meticulously and send just 2 or 3 maids? Did you think you could triumph easily? If dealing with Xiao Yunduan were so simple, why would His Highness invest so much effort in him? Congratulations, you've squandered a significant opportunity. How foolish. The deputy prefect's wife felt a bit vexed, wondering what mistake she had made. All she wanted was to make a noteworthy contribution. Who could have predicted that these two girls would prove so unreasonable? Moreover, she had accompanied the magistrate's wife, thinking that her presence would dispel any suspicion. Since the prefectural magistrate's wife held more sway, her entourage naturally deferred to her authority, right? This should have been a prime chance for her to slip away discreetly. While the couple conversed, someone from the prefect's wife's entourage approached, expressing a desire to discuss matters with the deputy prefect's wife. Despite the deputy prefect's wife's skepticism, she had to oblige, granting her the courtesy. The brief meeting concluded soon after. Upon receiving the report about the soup from the maidservants, the prefectural magistrate's wife couldn't help but frown and reprimand them. Was she out of her mind? Visiting a patient and delivering soup were commendable actions. As long as her intentions were genuine, shouldn't seeing the patient take precedence? Why force an entry into the other party's house? What was her rationale? The maidservants, filled with grievances, could not articulate their defense. They didn't want to engage in such actions, but the deputy prefect's wife insisted that personally kowtowing demonstrated sincerity and care. They couldn't be seen as inferior. However, the unexpected turn of events left the magistrate's wife increasingly agitated. When the deputy prefect's wife arrived, she tactfully mentioned the incident. Offending someone was never a good strategy. In the future, she needed to exercise more caution. Good intentions should not provoke resentment. Instead of fostering goodwill, her actions created a standoff, leaving people angry and resentful. The description of the expression as tactful stemmed from the fact that although the prefectural magistrate held an official position, he was essentially an ordinary landowner who had progressed to his current rank through the advanced scholar examination. On the contrary, the deputy prefect's background differed significantly. As a descendant of a prominent local family, he wielded considerable influence and boasted connections in the capital. Many of the magistrate's decrees often relied on his cooperation for implementation. In essence, refusing to give the magistrate due respect and intentionally causing trouble or opposition could jeopardize the magistrate's tenure in the region. The consequences would be overwhelming, constituting a significant setback. Because of this delicate power dynamic, regardless of the deputy prefect's wife's actions, especially when dispatching servants to visit Chao Xian, the magistrate's wife closely monitored the situation. Upon hearing the prefectural magistrate's wife's remarks, the deputy prefect's wife responded with disdain and indifference. Her husband held a prestigious position, and she, too, carried a noble status. It seemed inconceivable to take the magistrate's wife seriously. She feigned regret and sighed with apparent concern. "Sister, you're absolutely right. The two girls beside Madame Xiao are likely quite upset this time. I wonder what they'll say to Madame Xiao." As she uttered these words, the magistrate's wife's heart skipped a beat, envisioning numerous unfavorable scenarios. She was well aware of the potential impact of slave slander, particularly from personal maidservants, long-serving nannies, trusted butlers, and the like. Their words held significant weight in the eyes of their masters. The two resentful girls, if inclined to sow discord in front of Madame Xiao, might prompt Madame Xiao to engage in pillow talk with Lord Xiao, leading to various undesirable outcomes. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1533. Another visit. Lord Xiao was now the favorite of the Crown Prince and Minister Old Yun. The Emperor also held him in high regard. If they offended him, could it potentially impact her husband's future career? The more the magistrate's wife dwelled on this, the more anxious she became. She couldn't help but attribute the trouble to the deputy prefect's wife. To think that she had the audacity to suggest solutions. Wasn't all of this caused by her? Sister, the deputy prefect's wife suggested earnestly, why don't we personally apologize to Madame Xiao and clarify the situation? If we make things clear, those two girls won't be able to stir up trouble. Otherwise, it could really cause unnecessary concerns. I didn't anticipate it would escalate like this. I truly acted with good intentions. The prefectural magistrate's wife hesitated, considering what her servants and maidservants had faced during their visit earlier in the day. Doesn't it seem inappropriate? After all, the servants had been forcibly chased out just hours ago. What's inappropriate about that? The deputy prefect's wife responded casually with a smile. Madame Xiao is just suffering from a cold, not a serious illness. She has seen the doctor, taken medicine, and rested for quite some time. She must have woken up by now, right? We're visiting her with good intentions, just to meet, talk, and convey our concern. It's not like we're doing anything else. If Madame Xiao doesn't appreciate this small gesture, then, really, the deputy prefect's wife sighed softly. If we refrain from going, it might be disastrous if Madame Xiao genuinely believes the slander of those two maidservants. The magistrate's wife made a firm decision. Sister, you're right. We should personally attend to Madame Xiao. That's how hosts should behave. Exactly. Why don't we go now? Although still a bit hesitant, the magistrate's wife agreed. This matter should not be delayed. If it is, Madame Xiao might. Without further delay, the magistrate's wife decided, let's go now. Okay. The deputy prefect's wife felt secretly delighted and somewhat smug. Wasn't this another opportunity? This time, she wanted to see if the two maidservants could stop her and the magistrate's wife. Upon arriving at Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan's residence, they asked someone to report their presence. Li Xia and Li Qiu were left with a headache. The prefectural magistrate's wife and the deputy prefect's wife had come personally, and Li Xia and Li Qiu were just servants. How could they stop them? Li Xia hurriedly went to the study to report to Xiao Yunduan. Xiao Yunduan sensed that something was amiss, and his eyes sank. Of the prefect and deputy prefect, there must be something wrong with one or both of them. Sending their wives to probe indicated a connection to the kidnapping of his wife. Were these two madams attempting to expose his wife's disappearance? His annoyance was evident, but he subconsciously let out a sigh of relief. This meant that his wife should be safe for the time being. That's good. Recognizing that Li Xia and Li Qiu couldn't stop the wife of the magistrate and the wife of the deputy prefect, Xiao Yunduan decided to meet them personally. The deputy prefect's wife was dumbfounded. She hadn't expected Xiao Yunduan to meet them in person. Wasn't there a distinction between men and women? As an official of the court, did he have to deal with the two of them himself? Didn't he understand the protocols? On the other hand, the prefectural magistrate's wife was also taken aback, but she quickly felt secretly pleased. She had come to the residence to explain the situation under the guise of a hospital visit, ensuring that Xiao Yunduan wouldn't misunderstand her. What better opportunity than to clarify herself directly in front of him? If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1534. She didn't care at all. Xiao Yunduan smiled graciously upon hearing the latter's words, understanding the underlying concern for his wife. He chose not to blame the servants for their apparent rudeness, attributing the misunderstanding to the impatience of his two daughters. The prefectural magistrate's wife immediately felt relieved and expressed her apologies, emphasizing that it was a mere misunderstanding. However, the deputy prefect's wife was visibly irate. Though she logically knew it was inappropriate to say more, she dismissed the potential suspicions of Lord Xiao, confident in the lack of evidence. Trusting in the reliability of His Highness, she remained undeterred, focused on revealing the news of Qiao Xian's disappearance to strengthen their alliance with Lord Xiao in the future. Appearing oblivious to the unfolding tension, the deputy prefect's wife persistently urged Qiao Xian to visit her personally under the guise of concern. Lord Xiao, please don't worry. Our intention is not to disturb Madame Xiao. We genuinely care for her well-being and believe a conversation might alleviate her ailment. If we speak to Madame Xiao, she might recover sooner, she asserted. Besides, we are already here. Surely, Lord Xiao, you won't find our concern disrespectful. Despite the discreet signals from the prefectural magistrate's wife, the deputy prefect's wife continued unabated. The former blushed, embarrassed by her companion's persistence, and wondered why she hadn't explained matters directly to Lord Xiao. Moreover, she questioned the necessity of wanting to see Madame Xiao. If she had something to convey, why involve others and create unnecessary complications? The prefectural magistrate's wife found herself flustered, regretting the unfolding situation. Despite her inner turmoil, she refrained from undermining her companion, considering it inappropriate to intervene at that moment. Xiao Yunduan's demeanor shifted to a colder tone as he directed his gaze at the deputy prefect's wife, firm in his conviction that the source of the issue lay with this particular couple. Internally scolding Xiao Yunduan for his perceived lack of gentlemanly conduct, the deputy prefect's wife put on a false smile and questioned, Lord Xiao, surely you won't endorse this, will you? Is Madame Xiao unwell, or is she not even present at the inn? The prefectural magistrate's wife, visibly taken aback, interjected, her face turning even redder. Sister, what on earth are you talking about? Undeterred, the deputy prefect's wife maintained her composure and pressed on aggressively, Lord Xiao, have we hit the mark? Is Madame Xiao truly absent from the courier station? What has transpired? Is she missing? Lord Xiao, don't evade the truth. Will you allow us to enter? Madame Xiao's disappearance is a grave matter. Lord Xiao, concealing it won't serve anyone. If we don't locate Madame Xiao promptly, it could lead to serious consequences. Her mishap occurred in Yenzhou City, and we cannot shirk our responsibilities. Speaking rapidly and with a sense of urgency, the deputy prefect's wife presented her conjecture with confidence that bordered on certainty. The prefectural magistrate's wife and the onlookers were left dumbfounded, their wide-eyed expressions betraying a strange inclination to believe the deputy prefect's wife, despite the lack of evidence. The prefectural magistrate's wife hesitated, her heart racing, yet she refrained from uttering a word. Xiao Yunduan's expression grew colder. Madam Qin, have you concluded? My wife is recuperating in the bedroom. Madam Qin, I must say you're overstepping boundaries here, aren't you? If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1535. Fire. The deputy prefect's wife adopted an assertive stance, lifting the corners of her eyes as she remarked, Is that so? But I have my doubts. Since you're so confident, let us see Madame Xiao. A brief glimpse, we promise. Well, be as silent as mice, not a disturbance. Lord Xiao, do you have the courage? Lord Xiao, forgive my bluntness. Honestly, I'm doing this for the sake of my old master. What if something untoward happens to Madame Xiao? If you accuse us of incompetence, who can we turn to? Planning ahead is essential. Lord Xiao, you've gone to great lengths to prevent us from seeing Madame Xiao. It's hard for us to trust your assurances. Xiao Yunduan sneered. My wife is well, I don't need your validation. Kindly depart. Once she's recovered, you may have your meeting with her. The deputy prefect's wife insisted, just a quick glance. Are you unwilling even to respond? Xiao Yunduan chuckled and responded calmly, Madam Qin, perhaps you're unaware, but I detest threats and moral coercion. Kindly take your leave. Internally cursing his stubbornness, the deputy prefect's wife found him shameless. Despite his statements, he remained resolute. In that case, I genuinely suspect something is amiss here. Feel free to harbor your suspicions, Xiao Yunduan retorted coldly, casting a stern glance. But let me remind you, Madam Qin, without evidence, refrain from baseless accusations, or you may find me less accommodating. The deputy prefect's wife sneered. Lord Xiao, are you afraid? Xiao Yunduan replied, escort her out. The prefectural magistrate's wife, feeling weak in the legs and with a pounding heart, eagerly desired to leave. She forced a smile, bid her farewell, and, grasping a servant's hand, worked to regain composure before exiting. With her departure, the deputy prefect's wife had no reason to linger. She stood up, offered a parting smile, and left as well. The prefectural magistrate's wife wasted no time waiting for the deputy prefect's wife. Upon departure, she hastened her pace, leaving the latter trailing behind. Smirking with cold resolve, the deputy prefect's wife suppressed her anger. A mere fifth-grade official, she recognized her limited standing. Her husband, a fourth-grade magistrate and a trusted aide to the fourth prince, possessed boundless prospects. Lord Xiao's disregard for her authority irked her deeply. Did he believe he could impede the fourth prince's will? Tonight, she vowed to teach him a lesson, planning to embarrass him before everyone. Xiao Yunduan hadn't anticipated such arrogance from the deputy prefect's wife. The Yenzhou mansion, he realized, was more complex than he had assumed. Their relationship was on the brink of deterioration, if not already there. He doubted they would hesitate to act against him now. The looming question was, what would be their course of action? Frowning, Xiao Yunduan pondered the situation. That night, despite intensified patrols ordered by Xiao Yunduan, someone exploited a vulnerability. The relay station, sprawling with servants and government workers, proved chaotic. Seizing the moment, an infiltrator set fire to the compound. The flames erupted simultaneously in the west wing of Xiao Yunduan's and Qiao Xian's yard, and the backyard. The scale of the fire suggested liberal use of oil, engulfing half the sky in an instant. In the ensuing turmoil, Li Xia, Li Qiu, and other guards under Ye's command, namely Sun Bai and Sun Qian, promptly mobilized toward the 500 meters of the courtyard where Qiao Wei once resided. Both the prefectural magistrate's wife and the deputy prefect's wife arrived on the scene. The latter promptly expressed a desire to visit and console Madame Xiao amidst the chaos. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1536, forcing however, Li Xia firmly informed her, my wife is in shock. Lord Xiao is currently with Madame and cannot entertain visitors. The deputy prefect's wife sneered in disdain. Once again, faced with rejection. How much longer could he persist in this refusal? Just then, a maid positioned behind the deputy prefect's wife spoke in a hushed tone, I just witnessed someone taking Madame Xiao away. Is Madame Xiao truly still in the bedroom? Another maidservant quickly chimed in, I think I saw it too. Promptly seizing the opportunity, the deputy prefect's wife asserted, is it true? Is Lord Xiao concealing this out of embarrassment? This is a serious matter. To dispel any rumors, sister, let's enter and confirm. If Madame Xiao is present, we can put an end to speculations. If she's indeed abducted, we must devise a plan to rescue her. Lord Xiao is bewildered. His wife's safety takes precedence over his reputation. This transpired in Yenzhou City, and we share a responsibility. If we don't inspect the situation and express our concern, we won't be able to justify ourselves in the future. Fuming with anger, the prefectural magistrate's wife felt the urge to vent her frustration. She had merely stood there without uttering a word. Why did he involve her in everything? What did it have to do with her? Not oblivious to the strained relations between the deputy prefect's wife and her husband with Lord Xiao, she couldn't fathom why they pulled her into their conflicts. Suddenly, Yi burst out and forcefully kicked the two maidservants who had spoken. Even amid the clamor of the night, the piercing screams resonated with terror. Yi's actions were swift, catching everyone off guard. The deputy prefect's wife, once she regained composure, was both shocked and incensed. She retorted, "How dare you assault my people? I'll seek an explanation from Lord Xiao and Madame Xiao regarding their servant management." Although Yi's kick didn't physically strike her, it felt like a direct blow to her dignity. She had uttered more than the two maidservants. Yi refrained from kicking her due to her status, but she had undeniably suffered a loss of face. Yi's demeanor remained unchanged. He met her gaze and stated, "They spoke ill of our wife with filthy mouths, spreading false accusations." As the commotion unfolded, both the prefect and deputy prefect approached. The courtyard fire had been extinguished, and order had been restored, prompting their hurried arrival. The deputy prefect's wife, now even more flustered and enraged, sought solace from her husband. The deputy prefect, seething with anger, demanded, "I demand to see Lord Xiao. He owes me an explanation." Xiao Yunduan emerged from the room at a measured pace, addressing the deputy prefect calmly, "What explanation do you seek, Lord Qin? These two servants were maligning my wife, and I find that unacceptable." The deputy prefect's wife gritted her teeth, asserting, "Chunlan and Dongmei never lie. If they've spoken, it must be true. Lord Xiao, if you have nothing to hide, let us enter and verify. Do you have the courage?" "No." "Lord Xiao, are you afraid this scandal will tarnish your reputation? Yet, this incident occurred in Yenzhou. Both my old master and the magistrate share responsibility. It's only right to swiftly address the issue. Lord Xiao, by concealing it, aren't you jeopardizing us? I'm genuinely concerned. Lord Xiao, do you dare to let us in for a closer look?" A cloud of suspicion settled over the onlookers as they exchanged glances. "If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 1537, Suspicion. A subtle shift in everyone's gaze hinted at their growing uncertainty. Was it possible that Madame Xiao had indeed disappeared? Otherwise, why would the deputy prefect's wife boldly assert such a claim? After all, if it were merely a rumor, it could easily be disproven by having Madame Xiao make an appearance. The notion that Madame Xiao was missing, coupled with Lord Xiao's persistent attempts to conceal the truth, fueled speculation. The deputy prefect's wife's forceful demand for an explanation only added to the perplexity. Imaginations ran rampant. Lord Xiao had reasons to keep it under wraps. If Madame Xiao were truly taken away, the impact on his reputation would be disastrous. It wasn't just about public image, it touched on the core of his identity as a husband. The potential ridicule and betrayal he might face could strip away his dignity, leaving him with no face to show. For him, the damage to his reputation could jeopardize his future prospects. It made sense for him to do everything in his power to keep the situation hidden. Some speculated that, in a few days, news of Madame Xiao's recovery might be released, and later, perhaps, a grim prognosis of her impending demise. In the midst of these speculations, the deputy prefect's wife, seemingly acting out of kindness, positioned herself as a champion of justice for her newfound sister, Madame Xiao. Most people bought into this narrative, while a few remained puzzled and unsure. Whispers and suspicions surged like a tidal wave, casting a variety of scrutinizing glances, both open and covert, upon Xiao Yunduan. The deputy prefect's wife, casting a glance at Xiao Yunduan's impassive expression, reveled in her inner satisfaction. She doubted that, at this juncture, Lord Xiao could maintain the secrecy. If he continued to deny access to Madame Xiao, he would appear guilty, and her insistence would make his denial less believable. "Lord Shao, do you dare?" The deputy prefect's wife sneered. "Do you have the courage to allow us to check if Madame Shao is in her room right now?" "I confidently assert that she isn't. If I'm wrong, I'll kowtow and apologize to you." "Will you answer me, Lord Shao?" Gasps echoed around them, leaving everyone bewildered. The deputy prefect's wife's apparent concern for Madame Shao struck the onlookers. Her unwavering certainty suggested a genuine belief that Madame Shao might truly be missing. Surprisingly, Lord Shao seemed callous, prioritizing his personal desires, reputation, and dignity over his wife's well-being. His lack of urgency portrayed a cold and selfish nature, shattering the illusion of his deep love. Perhaps, the earlier displays of affection were nothing more than an act, a well-crafted facade to garner attention and build a reputation. The deputy prefect, unable to remain silent any longer, spoke with hesitation. "Lord Shao, if Madame Shao is indeed missing, please inform us so we can assist. Otherwise, if any harm befalls Madame Shao, the responsibility will be unbearable." Shao Yunduan retorted coldly, "You need not concern yourself with responsibility. Moreover, I detest coercion, and I won't permit anyone to disturb my wife. After tonight's fright, she has finally fallen asleep." "Madame Qin, what is your true intention?" The deputy prefect's wife sneered. "I doubt you would dare to take any action. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 1538, Hok Xiao Yunduan asserted, "I have no intention of arguing with you." The deputy prefect's wife, seething with anger, retorted, "Madame Shao must have disappeared. Lord Shao, you're heartless." Xiao Yunduan sneered and wore a disdainful expression, choosing not to engage further with her. Bafflement spread among the onlookers. Well, if the deputy prefect's wife is so convinced, maybe there's some truth to it. Indeed. Why resist letting people in? Opening the door would settle everything. Unexpected turn of events. Sigh. Human emotions are fickle. Now that Lord Shao is on the rise, he's naturally different. He truly has the audacity to. The deputy prefect's wife must share a close bond with Madame Shao. It's fortunate she exposed the truth. Why would Madame Shao be abducted? Yes. Could it be? The deputy prefect's wife grew even more self-assured. Lord Shao, the truth always prevails, there's no hiding it. What good does it do to deceive yourself? Nobody here is a fool. Xiao Yunduan responded icily, "I'll reiterate, my wife has been perfectly well. If anyone dares to spread baseless rumors, I won't hesitate to respond firmly. Numerous witnesses have seen nothing amiss, yet the two maids by your side claim otherwise. It's intriguing. I'm curious to know what my wife has done to incur your wrath, leading to this attempt to slander her and tarnish her reputation. It's absurd that I should have to prove my innocence regarding the word of two maids in your company, Madame Qin. If I were to comply with such a ludicrous charade, what would become of my wife and me? Madame Qin, are you attempting to coerce an official of the imperial court based on the testimony of two lowly maidservants? Do you consider yourself worthy? Who do you think you are? You, if someone casually uttered a few words and claimed to have seen someone enter your courtyard in the middle of the night, would you readily allow a search? Nonsense. The deputy prefect's wife seethed. Lord Shao, as an official of the imperial court, kindly choose your words wisely. Do you know how to be cautious with your words? Xiao Yunduan sneered. I thought you were incapable of such discretion. Whispers resumed among the onlookers, this time casting suspicion on the deputy prefect's wife. Indeed, it was merely the testimony of two maids, and yet the deputy prefect's wife displayed unwavering certainty and uttered aggressive remarks. How could Lord Shao not be provoked? As he had pointed out, how could he and his wife establish their innocence solely on the words of two maidservants? Even an ordinary person would feel deeply humiliated by such an accusation, let alone an official of the imperial court like Lord Xiao. If Lord Xiao acquiesced to the deputy prefect's wife, he would forfeit all his dignity. Being caught in the narrative woven by the two maidservants would become a blemish on his reputation. The deputy prefect's wife, enraged, felt a surge of frustration. She had seemingly gained the upper hand and pushed Xiao Yunduan into a corner, only to find him shamelessly shifting the blame. Despite the deputy prefect's wife's furious and indignant protests, insisting, "Do you dare? Do you dare let me in to see?" and accusing, "You don't dare, so you must be guilty." Xiao Yunduan remained indifferent. He turned his gaze to the deputy prefect and remarked, "Lord Qin, has your wife fallen prey to some malicious deceit? What is the meaning of this?" Awkwardly rubbing his nose, the deputy prefect hastened forward to restrain his wife, whispering something to her. Though reluctant, she gritted her teeth and endured it. "If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 1539, Mockery. The deputy prefect's wife sneered once more. "Lord Xiao, your silver tongue leaves me speechless. I can only feel sorry for Madame Xiao. Missing and forgotten, it wouldn't be surprising if she passed away one day." "Ha! Shut up!" Xiao Yunduan's anger flared, glaring at her. "Rest assured, my wife will live a long life." Frustrated by Madame Qin's remarks, Xiao Yunduan resisted the urge to retaliate physically against her rudeness. "Lord Qin," he continued, addressing the deputy prefect with disdain, "you're truly fortunate to have wed such a well-mannered, eloquent lady. With such a remarkable wife, Lord Qin, your future must be promising." The deputy prefect's face reddened instantly, overcome with embarrassment. It felt as if he had been slapped, mocked for choosing a spouse lacking in manners, and cursed for his future. However, his wife had provoked the scolding, leaving him little choice. He gripped her arm to prevent further outbursts and shot her a warning glare. Maintaining a forced smile, he pretended to be oblivious to Xiao Yunduan's sarcasm. As long as he feigned ignorance, the embarrassment wasn't truly his. Nevertheless, he couldn't linger any longer, even though indignation bubbled within him as much as his wife. Xiao Yunduan, with his thick skin, had pushed them to this point, yet he persistently attempted to mask the situation with sophistry. "Lord Xiao, my wife must have been frightened by tonight's fire and chaos. She didn't mean anything else. Please, don't argue with a woman. It's late, we should take our leave. We won't disturb your rest. Lord Xiao, focus on taking care of Madame Xiao for a swift recovery." My wife and Madame Xiao instantly hit it off. She genuinely cares for Madame Xiao. Xiao Yunduan sneered, retorting, "Your wife's concern is not something anyone can appreciate. You may leave." Xiao Yunduan gestured towards the two maids who had been vocal about witnessing Qiao Xian being taken away. "However, they must stay. Lord Qin, do you find fault with my decision to pursue this matter?" The hearts of the deputy prefect and his wife skipped a beat. Xiao Yunduan's assertiveness left little room for refusal, even if his request seemed reasonable. Yet, surrendering these individuals to him was out of the question. Once they were handed over, who knew what kind of punishment Xiao Yunduan might mete out? What if the interrogation unearthed some compromising information? While they could feign ignorance, it remained an inappropriate risk. These two have overstepped their bounds. It's understandable that Lord Xiao is angered. Men, take them away and administer 30 strokes each. Lord Xiao, how does that sound? Xiao Yunduan sneered, opting to remain silent. His silence, however, carried implicit agreement. At the deputy prefect's command, bailiffs swiftly descended upon the two maidservants, dragging them down as they cried and pleaded for mercy. Unexpectedly, Xiao Yunduan interjected, "Do it here." His subordinates complied, subjecting the two maids to a merciless beating. Their screams echoed, initially accompanied by pleas for mercy, but eventually tapering off as their heads drooped, succumbing to unconsciousness. The onlookers shuddered, their hearts pounding. Xiao Yunduan cast a cold gaze across the crowd and declared, "Continue spreading baseless rumors, and next time, the tally will be 60 or 90. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 1540. He wants to alert them. The deputy prefect couple's faces burned with humiliation. Despite their anger, they dared not voice their objections. They hastily departed, leaving in a sorry state. The magistrate sighed inwardly and bid farewell to his wife. Xiao Yunduan issued some instructions to Sun Bai and Sun Qian, then turned on his heel and returned to the room. Since he had commandeered this residence, Qiao Wei could no longer remain there and had to vacate at the last minute. As the deputy prefect's wife approached Xiao Yunduan, Qiao Wei, overhearing their conversation from inside the room, felt a profound unease. The temptation to rush out and disclose the truth, potentially tarnishing Qiao Xian's reputation, was strong. However, fear held her back. Xiao Yunduan would never entertain her explanations, even if she feigned an accidental disclosure. His retaliation would be merciless, and she knew she could never endure such consequences. While it seemed gratifying to exact revenge on Qiao Xian and sully his reputation, Qiao Wei had to prioritize self-preservation. She couldn't risk her life and future to go down with Qiao Xian. Thus, she reluctantly endured the frustration, feigning ignorance. In her heart, she silently cursed that Qiao Xian would never return. That night, Xiao Yunduan found no sleep. There was no news of Qiao Xian, no contacts, and no clues. The uncertainty of when any information might surface weighed heavily on him. Yanzhou City, coupled with the element of surprise working against him, posed a daunting challenge in finding someone amid the sea of faces. Furthermore, conducting an open search was out of the question. One certainty provided some solace: his wife was currently safe. The very fact that they had orchestrated the leak about her disappearance hinted at her security. Yet, she couldn't remain concealed indefinitely. This wouldn't be the last time the deputy prefect's wife would act so unreasonably. Xiao Yunduan couldn't afford to counter her vehemently every time. Ultimately, there was no need for him to engage in verbal sparring. His wife only needed to reveal herself inadvertently, causing the deputy prefect's wife to lose face. Throughout the night, Xiao Yunduan mulled over his decision. He resolved to alert the enemy. Certain that his wife's disappearance was linked to the deputy prefect couple, he planned to confront the deputy prefect that day and inquire directly. He intended to ascertain if his master had set any conditions. Convinced that the deputy prefect would inevitably contact someone, Xiao Yunduan instructed Sun Bai and Sun Qian to discreetly monitor him and shadow his movements. In a village over 30 miles from Yanzhou City, Xia Miao was dispatched into the city by his master before dawn. Upon arrival, he inquired at the government office but gleaned no information regarding Madame Xiao's disappearance. Inwardly relieved, Xia Miao marveled at how adeptly Lord Xiao had managed to conceal the news. While he expected secrecy within the Xiao family, he hadn't anticipated such effective concealment in Yanzhou. Impressed, he wasted no time and immediately hired a carriage to hasten back to the village, sharing the information he had gathered. Upon hearing the news, Qiao Xian sighed in relief and remarked, "I knew you'd be able to keep the news under wraps. I must return now, or he might not handle the situation well." While Qiao Xian didn't fully trust the information, it at least confirmed the existence of a mole. "If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 1541. Return. The traitor had conspired with others to kidnap her, and Lord Xiao couldn't conceal the news indefinitely. He was certain to find a way to disseminate it. Her husband must be going through a tough time these past 2 days. Xia Jingrong couldn't help but feel a twinge of disappointment as he observed the joy on her face. He concealed it skillfully, maintaining a gentle smile as he nodded and said, "Then, let's go." Afterwards, the group immediately took the carriage into the city. Although Xia Jingrong didn't make an appearance, he checked into an inn upon entering the city. He tasked Xia Miao with delivering a letter to Xiao Yunduan. Xiao Yunduan was elated upon reading the letter. The collaboration unfolded seamlessly, and Qiao Xian returned to the station unnoticed. This time, she truly needed rest in bed. Tearfully, Li Xia and the others left, leaving Xiao Yunduan by her side. Unable to contain his joy, Qiao Xian hugged Xiao Yunduan, laughing with delight. Xiao Yunduan gazed down at the woman in his arms, smiling as he tightened his embrace. Qiao Xian, looking up from his arms, locked eyes with him, and they shared a kiss. Suppressed emotions, restrained composure, nights filled with restlessness and fear, intense longing, every emotion blended and erupted simultaneously. It was a tsunami, a volcanic eruption, and a fierce wind. They kissed until parting seemed impossible. Qiao Xian whimpered, feeling almost suffocated by the man's passion, yet she found solace and security in the suffocation. "I'm sorry." After the kiss, Xiao Yunduan held her soft waist tightly with one hand, the other on her shoulder. He lowered his head and said hoarsely, "I'm sorry." Warmth filled Qiao Xian's heart, a sense of being cherished. She pursed her lips. "It's not your fault. We didn't anticipate those people being so cunning." Qiao Xian didn't hold Xiao Yunduan responsible for the incident. If blame were to be assigned, it should fall on the East Palace, the source of the trouble. She and Xiao Yunduan were mere pawns in the East Palace's power play against her brothers. Despite this, Qiao Xian only pondered on it briefly and chose not to dwell on the matter. Having committed to this path, they naturally had to continue down it. A steely glint appeared in Xiao Yunduan's eyes. Gritting his teeth, he declared, "I won't let this go when we return to the capital. Just wait and see." Taking a couple of steps back, he assessed her. "Wife, are you frightened? You must have endured a lot. I'll ask Li Xia and the others to bring some food over. Have a meal, take a bath, and get some rest. I'll be by your side. We can discuss other matters later." Having returned to the city early in the morning, Qiao Xian's stomach growled, and fatigue set in. A good meal, a hot bath, and some sleep sounded like a perfect plan. She didn't refuse and nodded with a smile. "I'll let you know when I wake up." Xiao Yunduan smiled, squeezed her hand, and guided her to sit down. "Wait here, I'll go fetch them." When Qiao Xian awoke, it was already past noon, and Xiao Yunduan had stayed with her. Opening her eyes slowly, she seemed languid. Spotting her beloved by her side, a sweetness filled Qiao Xian's heart, and she nuzzled against Xiao Yunduan. Xiao Yunduan lowered his head, planting kisses on her forehead, nose, and cheeks. He gently stroked her hair and smiled. "You're awake. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 1542. What a lively show, ugh. The two of them embraced for a while before settling against the headboard, holding each other close. Xiao Yunduan, cautious and hesitant, was careful not to frighten his wife. He tactfully asked about her well-being, expressing concern repeatedly. The mere thought of Qiao Xian enduring the past 2 days and nights made him want to eliminate the fourth prince. Qiao Xian, sensing his worry, reassured him. She mentioned that she had figured out they took her as a bargaining chip to pressure him. Though initially scared and unsure of the situation, she became fine afterward. She even attempted an escape but was rescued by Xia Jingrong and his servant. They exchanged stories and comforted each other for a considerable time. Relieved to see her in good spirits, Xiao Yunduan noticed the brightness in her eyes and her radiant smile. She wasn't hiding or frightened in his embrace. As they discussed the events at the inn, Xiao Yunduan sneered, revealing all the details to Qiao Xian. Hearing this, Qiao Xian became furious. It seems the mole is indeed the deputy prefect and his wife. I had my suspicions about Madame Qin, and they must have leaked the news to humiliate you and tarnish my reputation. They are utterly malicious. The kidnapping of a young family member of an official for a night was a stain that couldn't be easily erased. She suddenly smiled, looking up at Xiao Yunduan. If I didn't return, what would you do if the deputy prefect's wife kept pestering you? Xiao Yunduan replied, it doesn't matter who comes. But it will make you look guilty. So what? Xiao Yunduan snorted. As long as I don't admit it and don't allow it, no one will dare to intrude. If anyone dares to spread rumors, he'll set an example. If you're not afraid, let them spread it. Qiao Xian couldn't contain her laughter and sighed, thank goodness I'm back. Xiao Yunduan smiled gently. Indeed, you're back. You're irreplaceable, truly. The couple exchanged grins. Had Qiao Xian not returned, Xiao Yunduan would have had no choice but to employ secretive means to locate her and vehemently deny any allegations, regardless of what others might say. Refusing to admit to anything, even in the face of skepticism and the deputy prefect's wife's aggression, became his strategy. If rumors spread, and they couldn't touch her, they wouldn't dare to touch others either. Furthermore, they could compel the magistrate and deputy prefect to punish severely whoever propagated the rumors. It wasn't the ideal plan, just a desperate measure, and who knew how long it would take. But now, she was back. Madame Qin seems so certain I'm not here, Qiao Xian sneered. I think I'll invite her to come and see for herself. Since she was so friendly, so concerned, and claimed to be familiar at first sight, she should express her gratitude, right? Xiao Yunduan's eyes gleamed, understanding that his wife's invitation to Madame Qin wasn't merely for herself. He smiled with interest. Wife, what's your plan? If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1543, Do You Have a Choice? Qiao Xian blinked, smiled at him, and chuckled. Let Qiao Wei handle it, of course. Qiao Xian felt no guilt whatsoever about involving Qiao Wei. Xiao Yunduan agreed with a smile, showing no concern for Qiao Wei. When Qiao Wei was summoned, she still felt uneasy, fearing another interrogation from Xiao Yunduan. She genuinely knew nothing about the situation. However, to her surprise, it wasn't Xiao Yunduan who entered but Qiao Xian. Qiao Wei was dumbfounded. She exclaimed, "It's you." Qiao Xian burst into laughter and blinked. Certainly, it's me. I've been recovering, and am well now. Qiao Wei. How shameless. Aren't you aware if you were kidnapped in the past 2 days? But she didn't dare voice her thoughts. She knew it would be futile and might even lead to scolding. Why did you call me here? Observing that Qiao Xian appeared fine, full of energy, and well-dressed, it was evident that Xiao Yunduan hadn't criticized her upon her return, otherwise, she wouldn't look so lively. This left Qiao Wei deeply disappointed and unhappy. Unable to change the situation, she consoled herself with the idea that what someone doesn't know or see can't hurt them, right? Qiao Xian smiled. I have a small favor to ask. Hearing Qiao Xian's request, Qiao Wei was so angered that she laughed. You want me to do such a thing? You're using me. Qiao Xian gave her a measured look and spoke deliberately. Consider yourself fortunate that you're still of use to me. Without my protection, you'd be dead by now. I won't do it. do you have a choice? Qiao Wei, do you believe you have the privilege to refuse me? Let me pose a hypothetical scenario. If you were so ill that you couldn't leave your bed and needed time to recuperate here, what do you think would happen if news of our return reached the capital first? Qiao Wei's face paled, and fear flickered in her eyes. I can make it happen. Leaning forward, Qiao Xian fixed her with a piercing gaze. She sneered, I won't feel a shred of guilt, regardless of how you torment me. Even divine judgment wouldn't hold me accountable. Don't you agree? Qiao Wei breathed heavily, trembling slightly. Yet, she averted her gaze in panic and guilt. Though full of anger, she didn't dare challenge Qiao Xian. She lacked both the capability and the confidence. Her heart harbored only sorrow. Fine, I'll do it. The deputy prefect's wife spent a restless night, her discontent evident the next day. Unexpectedly, Qiao Wei sent word to her, confirming that Qiao Xian was truly absent. Qiao Wei even suggested she visit at 3 p.m., assuring her that Xiao Yunduan wouldn't be present. Qiao Wei aimed to deal with Li Qiu, and Yi so the deputy prefect's wife could intrude without hindrance. Ecstatic, the deputy prefect's wife harbored no doubts about Qiao Wei's message. Aware of the long-standing animosity between Qiao Wei and Qiao Xian, and considering Qiao Wei's residency in the intermediate station, the deputy prefect's wife seized what seemed like a golden opportunity. If initially, her goal was to complete the fourth prince's task and gain his approval for her husband, now she also relished the prospect of humiliating Xiao Yunduan. This time, with Qiao Wei as an insider, the deputy prefect's wife brazenly entered Qiao Xian's room. Li Xia and Li Qiu, spotting her from a distance, screamed in panic, realizing it wasn't too late to intervene. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1544, Smug indeed, the bedroom was empty. The deputy prefect's wife erupted with joy. She couldn't suppress her triumphant smile. Madam Qin, how can you barge into our madam's rooms so brazenly, casually, and indifferently? Madam Qin, your behavior is exceedingly impolite. Li Xia seethed with anger. The deputy prefect's wife snorted, dismissing Li Xia and Li Qi's indignation. She sneered, where's your madam? You claimed she's recuperating, didn't you? Why isn't she present? Li Qiu also sneered. Do we need your permission to update you on our madam's activities? The deputy prefect's wife couldn't contain herself any longer. I suspect your madam was kidnapped. You've been guarding an empty house for the past 2 days, haven't you? Lord Xiao is quite heartless. Don't spout nonsense. Li Xia and Li Qi's expressions shifted simultaneously. They were enraged, panicked, and feeling helpless. Isn't it clear whether I'm spouting nonsense or your masters and servants are lying and covering it up? The deputy prefect's wife sneered. This incident occurred in Yan Prefecture City. Even if Lord Xiao is indifferent, we can't turn a blind eye. Otherwise, rumors will spread. The deputy prefect's wife instructed her servants to promptly summon the prefectural magistrate's wife. The maidservant, loyal to her mistress, agreed and hastened away. Li Xia and Li Qiu were unable to stop her. Although anxious to leave, Li Xia and Li Qiu faced an unyielding deputy prefect's wife. They intended to inform Xiao Yunduan. No chance. She would obstruct these two, even if it meant going all out and having a confrontation. Moreover, seeing Li Xia and Li Qi's urgency to find Qiao Xian, the deputy prefect's wife's initial skepticism subsided completely. It was evident that the information provided by Qiao Wei was entirely accurate. Why else would Li Xia and Li Qiu be so urgently seeking assistance? Too late. With her presence, their efforts were futile. The standoff continued until the prefectural magistrate's wife finally arrived. Observing the tense situation, the prefectural magistrate's wife inwardly sighed and frowned. She had no desire to get involved in such matters. Her husband remained impartial, and she naturally followed suit. The deputy prefect's family had gone too far. It was one thing for her to stir up trouble, but involving her was a step too much. Hurrying over, she asserted that Madame Xiao was in her room and might have been kidnapped. Now, she couldn't even find an excuse to decline the deputy prefect's wife's request to check on her. "Sister, you've come at last. This situation frightened me so much, I couldn't handle it on my own." Upon spotting the prefectural magistrate's wife, the deputy prefect's wife quickly patted her chest, dramatizing the situation. She eagerly recounted the events, her smug demeanor irking the prefectural magistrate's wife. Why hadn't she realized the extent of her pretentiousness before? Liqiu, about Madame Xiao, of course, it's true. Isn't it evident?" The deputy prefect's wife sneered, directing her gaze at Liqia and Liqiu. "Otherwise, bring Madame Xiao out for us to meet." "Can you make her come out?" Liqia sneered. "Madame Qin doesn't seem to have the authority to decide whether Madame Xiao wants to meet her or not. Shouldn't Madame Xiao have the choice to decide?" Liqiu added, "Madame Qin, your approach is unreasonable. The moment you entered, you stole the spotlight and started spouting baseless claims. Our madam is perfectly fine at the intermediate station, but you refuse to believe us. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 1545, Forcing the deputy prefect's wife sneered, "Who can't talk big? Where's the evidence? It's our family's affair where our madam is. Since when do we need to prove it to the deputy prefect's wife?" What the deputy prefect's wife is saying is truly amusing. That's correct. Just last night, our lord severely reprimanded the two maidservants beside Madame Qin for spreading baseless rumors. Madame Qin, you witnessed it yourself. Why? It's only been a night, and you've already forgotten. You're the one spouting baseless claims. The deputy prefect's wife, humiliated, erupted in anger. Madame Xiao's disappearance is a serious matter. If you conceal it like this and someone ends up harmed, don't blame us and our old master. We won't be able to justify ourselves then. At a time like this, when it's a matter of life and death, you're still in denial. Did Lord Xiao instruct you to act this way? Lord Xiao is truly heartless. Our lord and madam share a deep bond. What could you possibly understand? It's absurd and comical for such words to reach our lord. That's right. Our lord doesn't even have a concubine. Not many men in the world can claim that. Madame Qin, uttering such remarks is truly ludicrous. Enraged, the deputy prefect's wife turned to the prefectural magistrate's wife. "Sister, say something. It's too degrading not to argue with these two maidservants." The prefectural magistrate's wife felt a headache coming on. She had no desire to intervene. "Ladies, is Madame Xiao at the inn?" "Indeed." "Ha! Then bring her out. Our madam can decide for herself. She hasn't fully recovered and is taking a stroll in the backyard. We don't dare to disturb her. Lord has instructed us not to disrupt her peace." Excuses, all excuses. We speak the truth, as sisters. The deputy prefect's wife was on the brink of exploding with anger. She sneered, saying, "Who would believe your version of the truth?" Liqia retorted, "Why won't you believe us?" The prefectural magistrate's wife had no desire to get involved and wished to feign ignorance. She didn't want to be present at all. As long as she wasn't around, it didn't matter if they caused a commotion. Smiling, she tried to persuade the deputy prefect's wife, perhaps Madame Xiao is genuinely taking a walk in the backyard. If there's nothing else, let's leave first. This is undoubtedly a lie. The deputy prefect's wife, about to explode with anger, declared, "Didn't I instruct her to stay in bed and recuperate? She's not here at all. We've come this far, yet you persist in lying through your teeth." Wuxia argued, "It's evident that you're the one causing a scene. What if you're wrong? What will you do then?" Madame Qin sneered. "If I'm wrong, I'll kneel down and kowtow 3 times to your madam to apologize. Then, I'll kowtow to you and your sister to apologize. Now, can you invite her out? If she's genuinely here, why hide behind the curtain?" Qiao Xian entered slowly, holding Mianmian's hand, and said calmly, "Madam Qin, your statements are quite intriguing." A sudden hush fell over the room. All eyes turned to Qiao Xian, and gasps filled the air. The prefectural magistrate's wife was overjoyed and finally felt a sense of relief. "Madam Xiao, have you recovered? Congratulations." Truth be told, she didn't want any trouble in Yenzhou City. Smoothly sending her away would be ideal. This was excellent. However, the deputy prefect's wife widened her eyes as if she had seen a ghost. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 1546, She's really here, what about me? Qiao Xian showed no intention of mercy. She spoke with a half-smile, "Do you not recognize me, Madam Qin? Why don't you take a closer look at me?" The deputy prefect's wife swayed and moved her lips, but no words came out. Qiao Xian advanced, saying, "Madam Qin has been causing a commotion, insisting that I was missing. At that time, I wasn't feeling well, so I dismissed it with a laugh. But Madam Qin, your actions are becoming increasingly absurd. Do I have a grudge against you? Have we ever offended you, prompting you to spread rumors and slander me?" The deputy prefect's wife was flustered. It's Miss Qiao. She was the one who told me that you were missing." "Yes, it's her." Qiao Xian smiled. "What a joke. Let's not even discuss the truth of that claim. Are you devoid of reason? Can you not think for yourself? You believe whatever others say. Then why not heed what my husband has said? Do you trust words that paint us in a negative light and wish to cause a stir without cause? Madam Qin, when have we wronged you or Lord Qin? Madam Qin, why not speak plainly? Madam Qin, repeatedly involving yourself in such trivial matters should not leave you embarrassed to make things clear, right? Since you're unwilling to clarify, let my husband discuss this matter with Lord Qin." The deputy prefect's wife's eyes widened, and her body trembled. She gritted her teeth but couldn't utter a word. What could she say? Qiao Xian's words left her speechless. Ignoring her, Qiao Xian instructed Mianmian, "Tell Yi to summon our old master, Mr. Qin, and the magistrate here." The deputy prefect's wife's vision darkened, and she glanced at the prefectural magistrate's wife in panic. The prefectural magistrate's wife had already lowered her eyes, appearing lost in thought. She would not intervene, absolutely not. She saw and heard nothing. "And Miss Qiao?" The deputy prefect's wife gritted her teeth. "Summon Miss Qiao as well." Qiao Xian sneered. "Go ahead, Madam Qin won't relent until she provides us with an explanation." Shortly after, Xiao Yunduan, the deputy prefect, and the magistrate arrived. With everyone present, Qiao Wei, who arrived late, heard the news of Qiao Xian's improving condition. Sun Bai and the others breathed a collective sigh of relief. Upon realizing that Qiao Wei intended to confront her, the deputy prefect's wife initially felt a twinge of guilt. However, when she noticed Qiao Wei's defiant stance, her guilt transformed into anger. Qiao Wei defiantly stuck out her chest, unafraid. She shot a provocative glance at the deputy prefect's wife. What did she have to fear? The deputy prefect's wife lacked any evidence. As long as she maintained her denial, what could the deputy prefect's wife do? After all, one couldn't blame others for being gullible and naive, right? Miss Chiao, why did you lie to me? What is your motive? So, you're manipulating me like a pawn and deceiving me. The deputy prefect's wife erupted in fury, shouting immediately. Chiao Wei's complexion paled slightly. She bit her lip and denied, I don't know what you're talking about. I have no connection with you. What lies have I told you, Madam Qin? Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan hadn't allowed Chiao Wei unrestricted movement, it was as if she was under house arrest. She hadn't had any private encounters with the deputy prefect's wife. These statements made it nearly impossible for anyone to doubt her. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1547, Who are you humiliating? The deputy prefect's wife was furious. You're shamelessly telling lies, bald-faced lies, lying through your teeth. Well, Miss Chiao. Chiao Wei retorted, don't you, the deputy prefect's wife, excel at distorting the truth, telling shameless lies, lying through your teeth? I wouldn't dare to compare myself with you. You. Miss Chiao is absolutely correct. Qiao Xian added sarcastically. In the art of bald-faced lies and lying through one's teeth, no one surpasses the deputy prefect's wife. The deputy prefect's wife was seething with anger, her vision darkening, but she couldn't come up with a retort. Persistently claiming that Qiao Xian had been abducted was a prime example of distorting the truth, telling bald-faced lies, and lying through one's teeth. Apart from swallowing her anger and accepting the situation, what else could she do? The deputy prefect cleared his throat awkwardly, covering his mouth with his fist. The deputy prefect's wife glared at the deputy prefect and the prefect, complaining, Old master, lord, you must believe me. How could I lie? Qiao Xian chimed in, mocking her further. Indeed, Madam Qin never lies. She merely excels in concocting falsehoods and slandering others. Madam Qin, everyone, now it was Xiao Yunduan's turn to cough. He exchanged a smile with Qiao Xian, feeling a deep sense of satisfaction. It wasn't appropriate for him to personally address Madam Qin, as it would be too degrading. However, having his wife handle the situation was entirely fitting. Madam Qin was frustrated. If Madam Xiao had come out earlier, why should I come out? What if I choose not to? Hasn't my husband made it abundantly clear? Your two subordinate maids, born in an intermediate relationship, demand that I stand up and prove my innocence. Madam Qin, whom do you think you're looking down upon? More precisely, whom are you humiliating? I, Lord Qin, Xiao Yunduan turned to the deputy prefect, tell me what needs to be done. The deputy prefect forced a smile. Well, it's a misunderstanding, of course. It's entirely my wife's fault. I must apologize. He shot a stern look at Madam Qin and murmured, what are you waiting for? Apologize to Madam Xiao. Madam Qin, filled with reluctance, had no other option. With the tide turned against her, she had to swallow her pride. Gritting her teeth, she bowed deeply to Qiao Xian. I apologize, Madam Xiao. I acted impulsively. Please forgive me. Qiao Xian smiled. Madam Qin, could you enlighten me on why you are so convinced by the words of the two maids? Why are you discontent with me and wish ill upon me, readily believing any baseless or absurd accusations against me? No. No. Madam Qin was taken aback. Really? Then why? Madam Qin scolded Qiao Xian for being cunning, feeling both embarrassed and vexed. Madam Qin, don't claim it's for my well-being or out of concern for me, Qiao Xian sneered. Do you take me for a fool? A woman's reputation is crucial. Are you suggesting I was kidnapped for my own good? Madame Qin couldn't utter a word. Cold sweat formed on her forehead, and she felt so agitated that she nearly wanted to faint. The prefectural magistrate's wife sat upright, her head slightly lowered, holding a handkerchief in her hands, feeling embarrassed on Madame Qin's behalf. But who was to blame? She brought this upon herself. Madame Xiao was a genuinely kind person. If Madame Qin hadn't gone too far, she wouldn't have had to endure such rudeness. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1548. Embarrassed observing this, the deputy prefect's countenance broke into an ingratiating smile. Lord Xiao, Madame Xiao, it's entirely the fault of my wife for acting imprudently and thoughtlessly. The blame rests solely on her shoulders. It is only natural for Lord Xiao and Madame Xiao to feel displeased. Nevertheless, the deed is done. Thankfully, Madame Xiao hasn't suffered any real harm. I implore you to forgive her once you've expressed your frustration. Please, exercise magnanimity. The deputy prefect rose to his feet, bowing deferentially to Xiao Yunduan and Qiao Xian. Madame Qin couldn't suppress a soft sob as she delicately wiped her eyes with her hand. Genuine tears streamed down her face. She felt a mixture of shame, anger, and regret for her old master. How could she allow him to debase himself in this manner? Xiao Yunduan spoke with composure, your wife's conduct is indeed inappropriate. Since Lord Qin has addressed the matter, I shall refrain from further comment. Qiao Xian sneered, didn't you assert that you would kowtow to me and my two maids if I weren't taken away? Madame Qin, your confidence is truly astonishing. I'm curious where you derive such assurance. A moment of stunned silence enveloped everyone. Madame Qin's face reddened, and her mind reeled in shock. Embarrassment engulfed her. Too humiliating. The deputy prefect shot her a sidelong glance. When had she become so audacious? How could she utter such statements so casually? Madame Qin hid her face behind a handkerchief, intensifying her sobs. She longed to dismantle Qiao Wei piece by piece. If only she hadn't spread that false information, he wouldn't find himself in this predicament. It was all her doing. Yet, lacking evidence and appearing as though Qiao Xian had conspired against her, she had no recourse but to acknowledge her misfortune. What else could she do except admit she was unlucky? Qiao Xian, maintaining his composure, remarked, Madame Qin, while your confidence is commendable, my maid and I have no desire for you to kowtow to us. As the wife of the deputy prefect, I believe some courtesy is in order. I've always been magnanimous and cannot tolerate unnecessary complications. Madame Qin experienced throbbing pain in her chest and ribs, leaving her feeling lightheaded and infuriated. Why didn't she just faint? The deputy prefect, too, was flustered, his thoughts in disarray. Xiao Yunduan interjected with a chuckle, let's not dwell on this. As my wife has suggested, let bygones be bygones. We depart the day after tomorrow. Kindly ensure our peace for the next 2 days. The deputy prefect wiped sweat from his forehead, nodding hastily, while the magistrate offered polite words and a smile. Soon, the quartet rose and exited in succession. Upon stepping out, Madame Qin nearly kicked the threshold and stumbled, injuring her toes. Returning home, she discovered bruises and endured pain. Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan exchanged glances, sharing a laugh. I feel much better now. What kind of person is she? Trying to strike when I'm down. Humph. Qiao Xian remarked. Xiao Yunduan smiled, it's not over yet, just wait and see. Intrigued, Qiao Xian nodded, really? I'm eagerly anticipating it. The deputy prefect's couple, leaving the relay station, were utterly stunned. Their minds reeled, a dizzying embarrassment settling in. They had never experienced such humiliation before, not even from the magistrate. This time, they had truly encountered an unexpected challenge. Returning to their home, they closed the door and engaged in a heated argument. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1549, End of the Farce. The farce ultimately reached its conclusion. The deputy prefect's wife relinquished her pursuit of revenge against Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan, not out of disinterest but due to the realization that such an opportunity would never present itself. Xiao Xian's cutting words had left her feeling deeply embarrassed, and the prospect of further humiliation deterred her from attempting any retaliation. A palpable sense of danger emanated from Xiao Xian. She recognized him as someone not to be trifled with. Offending him was a risk she couldn't afford to take, and the humiliation he inflicted had been a bitter lesson. Fueled by resentment, she redirected her animosity toward Xiao Wei, despising her to the core. That audacious woman dared to orchestrate her downfall. If not for the fabricated news she relayed, the deputy prefect's wife reasoned, she wouldn't have acted impulsively, and Xiao Xian wouldn't have slapped her in public. It was akin to inviting others to witness the assault, a blow to her dignity she couldn't easily stomach. While still contemplating ways to exact revenge on Xiao Wei, a startling event unfolded that night. An assassin infiltrated the relay station and attacked Xiao Yunduan. Imperial physicians rushed to attend to him, leaving Xiao Xian in a state of panic. Witnessing Xiao Yunduan's pallid face, she succumbed to the stress and fainted. The relay station buzzed with activity as lights illuminated the chaos. People were thrown into disarray. Sun Bai and his comrades, along with Yi and a dozen guards, pursued the assassin, but the assailant left behind traces and managed to escape into the deputy prefect's courtyard. The deputy prefect and the prefect resided at the rear of the government office. Although provided accommodations at the relay station, the deputy prefect couple continued to reside there, enjoying the magistrate's favor and additional territory. When Sun Bai, Yi, and the others stormed in, the deputy prefect couple naturally erupted in fury. However, the sight of bloodstains in the courtyard brought panic to their faces. Quick-witted, the deputy prefect's wife immediately asserted that this was Lord Xiao and Madame Xiao's act of vengeance. According to her narrative, they must have orchestrated a covert plot to smear the courtyard with bloodstains and then frame them. Enraged by these allegations, Sun Bai, Yi, and the others vehemently responded. Sun Bai snapped, "Our lord barely survived an assassination attempt, with the imperial physician currently working to save her." Madame was so terrified she fainted on the spot. Numerous brothers have tracked the assailant all the way here. Additionally, bailiffs from your government office are stationed to guard the courier station. Everyone witnessed a black-clothed infiltrator with their own eyes, yet Madame Qin is playing the blame game. She's truly cunning and malicious. Brothers, let's find the assassin and expose her deceit. The deputy prefect, in a state of panic, protested, "You can't search." Upon learning of Xiao Yunduan's grave injury, shock overcame the deputy prefect and his wife. Madame Qin, too frightened to speak further, recoiled. Sun Bai sneered, "Why not? Are you shielding the assassin? It seems Lord Qin is implicated with the assailant. What baseless accusations. There's no truth to that." Sun Bai retorted, "It might not be so. Although we're unsure of the motive, it's evident that both of you harbor animosity towards our madam and madam. Madame Qin has repeatedly caused trouble before. It's not surprising if you seek revenge. You can't escape suspicion. Lord Qin, even if it's to clear your name, step aside. Otherwise, it looks like you're protecting the culprit." The deputy prefect found himself speechless, well aware that his wife's antagonistic actions toward Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian were glaringly apparent to everyone. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1550. Assassin. Coincidentally, Qiao Xian had incurred the wrath of the deputy prefect's wife earlier in the day. However, as night fell, a shocking incident unfolded at the courier station, and the discovery of bloodstains led straight to his residence. It seemed like an open and shut case. Regardless of his protestations, denial proved futile. Lord Qin, I have grounds to suspect you're buying time for the assassin, accused Sun Bai. You. The magistrate, relishing the deputy prefect's discomfort, seized the opportunity, stating, Brother Qin, let them conduct the search. How else will you explain this to Lord Xiao? If they find nothing, it will vindicate you. Xiao Yunduan's injury, attributed to the assassination attempt, implicated the deputy prefect. Refusing the search would not appease Xiao Yunduan, and further consequences loomed, including potential loss of his official position as deputy prefect. Faced with this realization, the deputy prefect became increasingly flustered. Struggling to maintain composure, he gritted his teeth. Fine, you may search. But if you find nothing, be prepared to answer to me. Sun Bai sneered, agreed. You've said it. Bah. Madam Qin, in a panic, interjected, Old Master, we can't allow this. Why should we submit to a search? This is clearly, shut up. While usually domineering, even the prefectural magistrate's wife failed to garner Madam Qin's respect. Fearful of her old master's wrath, she refrained from further objections, though simmering with internal anger. Why did it feel as though another slap to the face had been delivered? It had been challenging for her to intrude into someone else's residence for a glimpse, yet they invaded her home immediately upon arrival, even contemplating a search. The humiliation was unbearable. Her resolve now was to bide her time. When they inevitably failed to locate her, forgiveness would be out of the question. She entertained the audacious idea of compelling Lord Xiao and Madame Xiao to kneel and kowtow to her. However, Sun Bai and the others dismissed her with incredulity. Even the magistrate showed no concern for the crown prince's trusted aide. The deputy prefect couple never anticipated that, within a storeroom crammed with assorted items, a masked assailant in black would indeed leap out from a corner, engaging in a fierce altercation with Sun Bai and his comrades. The guards shouted and encircled the intruder, blocking any potential escape routes. Dumbfounded, the deputy prefect staggered and fell. What's happening? His wife, equally flustered, gawked at the unfolding chaos. This is impossible. It can't be. This person has no connection to us. He's merely hiding here out of panic. Yes, that must be it. The deputy prefect's hands trembled. Initially inclined to agree with his wife, a sudden realization struck him, widening his eyes in terror. His heart pounded, and he dared not utter a word. A thought flashed, was this orchestrated by the fourth prince? The task assigned by His Highness was so simple that even he and his wife couldn't accomplish it. The capital's trusted aides dispatched by the crown prince might be dissatisfied. Could they have orchestrated this without informing him? The world seemed to spin, and he nearly fainted from fright. Observing the fiercely battling assassin, the deputy prefect wished for escape or death, where there'd be no evidence even in demise. At least then, he could deny any involvement. Though outnumbered, the lone assassin held his own against Sun Bai and the others, leaving them momentarily powerless. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1551. Unable to defend the deputy prefect's conviction that the assassin was sent by the fourth prince solidified as he marveled at the assassin's formidable martial arts skills. His heart grew cold with dread. Despite the assassin's prowess, he succumbed to the onslaught from Sun Bai, Ai, and the others. Gradually losing ground, Sun Bai seized an opportunity to disable the assassin, breaking his jaw with a swift move. Subdued, the assassin was taken down. Now for the interrogation. We can't afford any delays. Sun Bai declared with urgency. His sharp gaze shifted to the deputy prefect, still slumped on the ground. Sneering, Sun Bai remarked, "Deputy prefect, your turn." Forcing himself up with the assistance of a subordinate, the deputy prefect retorted bitterly, "I don't care whether you believe me or not. This person has nothing to do with me. I know nothing about this." His protestations fell on deaf ears. The response he received was nothing more than a cold smile. Even the magistrate regarded him with a stern and icy gaze. The deputy prefect's world darkened. The night brought the results of the interrogation. Shockingly, the deputy prefect emerged as the mastermind. The assassin had confessed to the crime, found on the deputy prefect's premises. The couple's motive to target Lord Xiao became evident, and the case was resolved. Ecstatic, the magistrate seized the opportunity to bring to light numerous instances of bribery, corruption, and illicit activities the deputy prefect had suppressed. Collusion between officials and businessmen to exploit the market, along with the misdeeds of his family clan in the countryside, were all unearthed. The deputy prefect and his wife found themselves incarcerated, and the magistrate promptly submitted a memorial. His path to an official post seemed assured. As for the assassin, following his confession, a public act of ingesting poison led to his suicide. The body was unceremoniously tossed into an unmarked grave and concealed from view. Little did anyone know that this supposedly deceased assassin had cunningly assumed the guise of the Eastern Palace's secret guard. With Sun Bai and the others mistakenly believing they had dealt with him, it was a simple feat for him to feign his own demise. While the deputy prefect faced imprisonment and the resurrection of numerous old cases threatened his position, attention shifted away from the assassin. Lord Xiao, despite being injured, insisted on adhering to established protocols, diverting scrutiny from the faux demise. The deputy prefect and his wife found themselves incarcerated, along with numerous members of the Qin family implicated in various cases. Fear pervaded, and ashen faces mirrored the collective terror. Gone was the arrogance of the deputy prefect's wife. In a matter of days, she appeared aged by a decade, her once haughty demeanor replaced by haggard despair. Confined in a grimy, disorderly intermediate prison, she had shed countless tears. Her suffering was unparalleled. In stark contrast, the prefectural magistrate's wife reveled in delight. Frequently subjected to the deputy prefect's wife's mistreatment, she relished the karmic turn of events. It was a manifestation of divine justice. Xiao Yunduan foresaw that the magistrate, seizing the opportunity to vanquish a weakened foe, would exploit the exposure of the deputy prefect's transgressions. With the family's wrongdoing laid bare, even the fourth prince would abandon his support. Xiao Yunduan harbored no intention of leniency for those who had harmed his wife. Qiao Xian, too, found solace in the unfolding consequences. Whether it was the fourth prince's cohorts responsible for her abduction and the attacks on her and Xiao Yunduan, or their involvement in illicit activities, they would bear the weight of their actions. At this juncture, Qiao Xian's interest waned. The fate of the once arrogant deputy prefect's wife held no allure, her concern was solely reserved for her and Xiao Yunduan's well-being. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1552, Regret. Xiao Xian anxiously awaited Xiao Yunduan's return to the capital in the coming days. The prefectural magistrate's wife harbored a deep-seated resentment toward the deputy prefect's wife for her arrogance, conceit, and consistent efforts to make life difficult for others. Despite this, she couldn't resist the temptation to personally mock her. Making discreet arrangements, she orchestrated a meeting, bringing a maidservant into the prison while dressing up for the occasion. Upon seeing the prefectural magistrate's wife, the once arrogant deputy prefect's wife lost her composure. Stripped of her former haughtiness, she couldn't fathom the intentions behind the magistrate's wife's visit. Overcome with emotion, she threw herself against the bars, tears streaming down her face as she pleaded for mercy. Our old master has been wronged. He must have been unjustly accused. Sister, I implore you to inform the authorities. Plead for our release and save our old master. The prefectural magistrate's wife stood there, a quiet smile on her face. She observed the deputy prefect's wife's pitiful state in tears, experiencing a fleeting sense of satisfaction mingled with a trace of sympathy. However, this momentary compassion swiftly transformed into the realization that the deputy prefect's wife deserved her current plight. Such a person, in her view, wasn't worthy of sympathy, let alone assistance. Moreover, at this juncture, no one could come to her aid. Save your energy, the prefectural magistrate's wife spoke slowly. Do you not comprehend the gravity of your past actions, both yours and your husband's? Even if you are innocent of the attempted assassination of Lord Xiao, you cannot escape the repercussions of your past deeds. The deputy prefect's wife froze, her tears ceasing. Deep down, she was acutely aware of the unsavory actions she, her husband, and their family had committed. Exposed one by one, these deeds left little room for any hope of redemption. Why was she still pleading with the woman standing before her? Ah, yes. How had she overlooked it? The scheming woman had undoubtedly come to revel in her humiliation, hadn't she? Are you satisfied? The deputy prefect's wife shot a fierce glare at the prefectural magistrate's wife with her red and swollen eyes. She clenched her teeth, her expression fierce. You must be thrilled to witness me in this sorry state. I knew you didn't visit out of kindness. Ha, you're here to revel and mock me. Wretch! Wretch! What pride do you have left? Just wait. Who doesn't get their feet wet when crossing a river? Will your magistrate remain untainted and blameless? One day, I'll meet the same fate, and you'll be in my shoes. Just wait. Shut up. The prefectural magistrate's wife felt a twinge of unease. As an official, everyone dreaded such ominous words. They were considered more than just harsh, they were considered malevolent. You truly never change. As the saying goes, a virtuous wife avoids conflict. It's no wonder your old master has met this fate. Ours, an advanced scholar on 2 lists, possesses a virtuous character and innocence. He would never engage in sordid affairs. You've reminded me. In the future, you'll assure our old master that he'll emerge unscathed. Sadly, you won't be around to witness it. Do you realize your worth? How dare you provoke Lord Xiao? You've earned this fate. Speaking of which, Lord Xiao and Madame Xiao are truly our lucky stars. Once they arrive, won't I get the chance to fully vent my frustration? Stay here, continue your tirade if you wish. This is all that's left for you. The prefectural magistrate's wife sneered and waited for the maidservant to depart. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1553. Returning to the capital. The impact of the revelation struck the deputy prefect's wife like a lightning bolt. Her body went limp, and she slid down weakly, seated on the ground as she covered her face in tears. It dawned on her, if she hadn't received the news from the 4th prince and incessantly picked fights with Xiao Yunduan and Qiao Xian, none of this would have unfolded. Regret consumed her. If only she hadn't provoked them, none of this would have transpired. So, why did she provoke them? Now, in their pitiful state, even daring to mention the 4th prince was beyond their reckoning. They couldn't dare to mention him. To utter his name might hasten their demise. A few days later, Xiao Yunduan's injury was no longer a hindrance. He only needed to recuperate during the journey, so they set off again. Xie Jingrong also appeared, en route to the capital, deciding to travel alongside Xiao Yunduan and the others. News of Xiao Yunduan's supposed assassination reached the capital, enraging the crown prince. He issued orders for magistrates to ensure Xiao Yunduan's careful escort, even echoing the emperor's sentiments. With the addition of the eldest son of the Xia family, the journey became significantly safer. As long as the princes weren't foolish, they wouldn't continue their assaults after the emperor's proclamation. Doing so would disrespect the emperor, and given the emperor's character, a thorough investigation would follow, leaving the princes with no escape. Moreover, the emperor required no concrete evidence, a mere suspicion sufficed to bring consequences upon the princes. The fourth prince seethed with anger but had no choice but to swallow it. The proposal to appoint Xiao Yunduan as the envoy wasn't merely to send him away from the capital, it was a plan to eliminate him during his departure. Unanticipated was his wife's insistence on accompanying him. Nevertheless, it served his purpose. Let the couple live and die together, becoming a spectral pair in the netherworld. On the journey, he dared not take any rash actions. If he inadvertently harmed the Prince of Qingdi and jeopardized the marriage alliance, he wouldn't be able to bear the consequences. Xiao Yunduan and the others were well aware of this, so they took no extra precautions along the way. The fourth prince, on the return trip, had anticipated eliminating Xiao Yunduan and Qiao Xian before reaching the West Pass, but he faced total defeat. He even went to great lengths, spending considerable sums to bribe a notorious group of bandits outside the Northern Territory. Unexpectedly, General Longhu intervened, thwarting his plans at the brink of success. Having bribed the deputy prefect of Yenzhou, who was under his influence, he directed the deputy prefect to set up a trap in collaboration with his accomplices. The aim was to bypass Xiao Yunduan and seize Qiao Xian. Unlike Xiao Yunduan, Qiao Xian was not as heavily guarded. With meticulous planning and catching her off guard, the fourth prince believed success was within reach. Once in his custody, he had no intentions of surrendering her easily. He planned to keep her under house arrest in an undisclosed location. However, he would instruct her to write periodic letters to Xiao Yunduan, demonstrating her continued existence, with the crown prince being kept informed. All of these machinations would be conducted in utmost secrecy, leaving no visible traces of evidence. His goal was to test whether the crown prince would still place trust in Xiao Yunduan and elevate him to a significant position once Qiao Xian was in the fourth prince's grasp. Unlikely. This, to him, was the essence of revenge. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1554. Forced away. He wanted to witness Lord Xiao's choice, the man who had always professed deep love for his first wife. To his surprise, the person had already been successfully captured. Before the news could reach the capital, she was silently rescued. Furthermore, the 6 people he dispatched to oversee her all met unnatural deaths, leaving no traces of their corpses, only torn clothes, bones, and hair, possibly consumed by wild beasts. This revelation left the fourth prince shocked, angry, and bewildered. Could the other party be an immortal, capable of foresight? How else could they swiftly locate his men and save Qiao Xian? It seemed impossible, but the undeniable truth shattered his disbelief. Realizing he had almost no chance for another attack, and with their vigilant stance increasing, the group was just days away from reaching the capital. Unexpectedly, Xiao Yunduan sought revenge on his behalf. He ruthlessly dealt with the deputy prefect of Yenzhou, rendering him beyond salvation, a discarded pawn. Xiao Yunduan, supposedly assassinated, must have staged the event. The fourth prince failed to react in time, forced to witness his rival's success. Now, he had to strategize for the aftermath. He knew this incident would undoubtedly enrage the crown prince. How could he divert the crown prince's attention and dissuade further investigation? He had his work cut out for him. In early October, Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan finally returned to the capital. When they left, it was chilly in spring. Upon their return, the croplands were bare, having already endured the autumn harvest. Songshi and Qin Yan welcomed them joyfully. Coincidentally, Zhao Shu was also in the capital, joining in the warm reception with Songshi and Qin Yan. When Xiao Yunduan laid eyes on Zhao Shu, memories of the incident involving him and Tao Tao flooded his mind. However, with more pressing matters at hand, he decided to set aside that issue for the time being. Zhao Shu, adept at interpreting body language, sensed Xiao Yunduan's lack of hostility and breathed a sigh of relief. Emboldened, he shamelessly roamed around the Xiao residence, treating it as if it were his own. Xiao Wei was swiftly picked up by County Magistrate Qiao upon her return to the capital. The next morning, she departed for County Magistrate Qiao's office without even stopping at the Qiao family residence. During her journey, Xiao Yunduan sent a letter to County Magistrate Qiao, employing both persuasive and firm language. However, the outcome was far from favorable. Fearing the consequences, County Magistrate Qiao contemplated dispatching someone to the capital to retrieve Qiao Wei. Upon learning that the noble lady had invited Qiao Wei to stay, and sensing potential trouble brewing, County Magistrate Qiao regretted his decision. If he had known, he would have never allowed her to stay. Upon receiving the report, Xiao Yunduan seized the opportunity to meet Old Master Qiao in secret. Without mincing words, he urged the elderly man to leave the capital with the entire Qiao family and return to their hometown. Old Master Qiao, irate and ready to argue, sneered in response. Xiao Yunduan countered, "Feel free to try, but be prepared to forfeit your official position and your nephew's future. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 1555, Forced, do you believe the Qiao family has plunged into a state of decline? Allow me to elucidate what it truly means to be in such a predicament. The entire household subsists on porridge, struggling to procure enough clothing to adequately cover their bodies. Care to experience it for yourself? Old Master Qiao berated indignantly, "Who do you think you are? You're attempting to intimidate me." Xiao Yunduan responded icily, "You are well aware whether I am issuing threats or not. I have never sought favors from the Crown Prince. Do you believe he would rebuff me if I did? Can you honestly claim that you've never engaged in discreet activities since assuming your official post? If you can assure me of that, I might relent and let you off. Are you willing to make such a declaration?" Old Master Qiao was left speechless. Being an upright official was not in his nature. How could he possibly make such a bold assertion? While he refrained from being openly arrogant in the capital, he had certainly mistreated those beneath him. Undoubtedly, he had accepted bribes. Xiao Yunduan sneered, "Depart expeditiously and instruct your successors on proper conduct. Perhaps the Qiao family might produce a few more dependable court officers in the future." His implication was clear: with the Qiao family now thoroughly corrupt, any prospects of improvement were futile. Old Master Qiao seethed with anger but dared not argue with Xiao Yunduan. What good would stubbornness achieve? Might was right. Xiao Yunduan remained unperturbed by the pale hue of Old Master Qiao's face. He declared coldly, "I expect the Qiao family to be absent from the intermediate state within 10 days. Should you refuse to comply, I'll employ some tactics to hasten your departure." Old Master Qiao maintained a stoic silence. Xiao Yunduan shot him a contemptuous glance before rising to depart. The Qiao family thrived on exploiting the vulnerable, cowered before the formidable, and reveled in underhanded ploys. They readily abandoned their principles in pursuit of personal gain, truly a cohort of contemptible individuals. Despite severing ties, the fact remained that they were blood relatives, preventing him and Qiao Xian from resorting to mass killings. Preserving their reputation was still imperative. It seemed those who manipulated the Qiao family were excessively confident, repeatedly stirring up trouble. Given the circumstances, Xiao Yunduan decided to expel them from the capital, asserting no room for compromise this time. After a prolonged absence, Old Master Qiao exhaled laboriously, gazing ahead with a vacant expression. Eventually, a cold smile played on his lips, betraying the undercurrent of anger coursing through him. Yet, he lacked the courage to confront Xiao Yunduan, and the aristocracy paid little heed to such trivial matters. Frustration surged within him, but resistance felt futile. Isolated in contemplation, old Master Qiao rose after a prolonged period and made his way home. In under 10 days, the Qiao family discreetly departed the capital, drawing minimal attention amidst the many similar households. Their exit went unnoticed, as the Qiao family, not currently of use, evoked no interest from the fourth prince's residence or the Tian family. A sense of relief washed over Xiao Yunduan upon learning that old Master Qiao had submitted his resignation the next day. Swiftly, he sought retribution from the crown prince against the fourth prince. Having almost suffered complete annihilation, he could not let this transgression go unaddressed. If the crown prince were amenable to assisting, he would express profound gratitude. In the event that the crown prince declined, he was prepared to take matters into his own hands. His wish was solely for the crown prince to provide him with the support of Sun Bai and Sun Qian and, if necessary, overlook his subsequent actions. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1556, Dissuasion. Xiao Yunduan had initially believed it to be a straightforward task. The crown prince, known for his benevolence, might find it inconvenient to directly intervene, preferring plausible deniability. Xiao Yunduan understood the necessity for discretion, yet hoped the crown prince would at least feign ignorance. Who could endure someone plotting harm against their spouse? However, Xiao Yunduan didn't anticipate that his words would place the crown prince in an uncomfortable predicament. Upon Xiao Yunduan's direct approach, the crown prince found himself both pleased and troubled. His satisfaction stemmed from the realization that Xiao Yunduan treated him as a confidant, sharing whatever weighed on his mind. The difficulty lay in the nature of the matter at hand. It posed a genuine challenge for him. Only then did he comprehend that Madame Xiao had indeed been kidnapped, her rescue a mere stroke of luck courtesy of young Master Xia. Yet, it coincided with the actions of his fourth brother. In response to Xiao Yunduan's silence, the crown prince averted his gaze uncomfortably, avoiding eye contact. Xiao Yunduan's disappointment was palpable. Without further words, he awaited the crown prince's decision. Cough, cough. The crown prince, feeling increasingly uneasy, cleared his throat and looked away, evading direct confrontation. Xiao Yunduan's heart sank, and he held his peace, anticipating the crown prince's directive. Officer Xiao, I have cautioned him. Rest assured, he won't dare to harm you in the future, or I won't spare him. Fortunately, Madame Xiao returned unscathed this time. Let it go. Xiao Yunduan. The crown prince sighed, his expression troubled. After all, he is my brother. Regardless, I must afford him another chance. I acknowledge the injustices you and your wife have endured. Officer Xiao, do not worry, I'll remember. Don't worry. Xiao Yunduan sneered inwardly, clenching his fists in disappointment. The crown prince's apparent coldness and selfishness took him by surprise. It became evident that the individual facing trouble was not someone within the crown prince's inner circle, and his reaction was nonchalant. Crown Prince, my intention was not to burden you. I simply thought it necessary to inform you. Please, Crown Prince, pretend you are unaware of this. The Crown Prince, lacking knowledge of the situation, need not be troubled. Xiao Yunduan demonstrated understanding and consideration for the Crown Prince. However, the Crown Prince responded thoughtlessly, no. Officer Xiao, let's ensure this doesn't occur again. I assure you, there won't be a next time. Crown Prince, Xiao Yunduan asserted with determination. Bowing respectfully, he clasped his hands and spoke earnestly, forgive me, Crown Prince, but I cannot accept this passively. If it weren't for the fortuitous encounter with young Master Xia, I shudder to think how terrified and injured my wife might be. The mere possibility is unbearable. Even if he couldn't confront the fourth prince directly, he would find ways to restrain him. This was within his power. The crown prince, visibly angered, exclaimed, "Officer Shao, why are you so obstinate?" With a sigh, he took a deep breath and continued, "Fine, I'll be candid with you. A few days ago, my young grandson, Xian Yi, narrowly escaped an accident while riding a horse in the northern court. Fourth brother, disregarding personal danger, intervened and saved him, sustaining a broken leg in the process. I cannot overlook such an act of kindness. Officer Shao, I implore you this time. I recognize the injustice you and your wife have endured, and I will make amends in the future. Therefore, when Father summons you tomorrow, there are certain matters I cannot discuss in his presence. Do you comprehend my meaning? If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 1557, Cold Heart. The Emperor was aware of Xiao Yunduan's assassination attempt, intending to inquire about it when they met. Xiao Yunduan could choose to inform the fourth prince, allowing dissatisfaction to take root even if no immediate action was taken. Xiao Yunduan felt a heavy weight in his heart. This was the benevolent crown prince he served. The fourth prince was increasingly favoring him. In a bid to swiftly resolve the matter, he was even willing to feign self-inflicted harm. Xiao Yunduan, however, dismissed the notion that the fourth prince's saving of his grandson was mere coincidence. In his eyes, it was a calculated scheme. Yet, the crown prince believed otherwise. Furthermore, such accusations could not be made without evidence. Xiao Yunduan, preoccupied with shock, couldn't fathom the crown prince's stance. Despite diligently planning for the crown prince's benefit, putting his wife in jeopardy to navigate political intrigue and offend rival princes, he found himself utterly blindsided. Had his wife been even slightly vulnerable, she would have been torn apart long ago. Yet, she never blamed him. They, as a couple, never held the crown prince accountable. However, after narrowly escaping death, the crown prince's request stunned Xiao Yunduan. He was asked to do nothing, to forego revenge against the fourth prince, and to pretend the incident never occurred. Such a compassionate and considerate brother. But what did the crown prince truly take him for? What had all his devoted efforts amounted to? Xiao Yunduan had once thought that the prince's kindness, while perhaps excessive, was preferable to cruelty. However, the current realization struck him: kindness could be as heart-wrenching as cruelty. Disheartened, he contemplated the idea of retreating. A lord like this was not worth the sacrifice. It truly wasn't worth it. The crown prince sensed the weight of his request and felt uneasy. Internal discomfort led him to grumble silently. After all, fourth brother had saved his grandson's life. Persisting and pressuring him would only lead to disappointment. If he relented, Miss Chiao would remain unscathed, her reputation intact. Why couldn't Officer Shao simply let it go? He professed loyalty to her. Couldn't he endure this minor grievance for her sake? Xiao Yunduan maintained silence, deepening the crown prince's grievances. A sense of helplessness and mild panic crept in. Struggling to find a solution, the crown prince suggested, "How about this? I'll grant you Sun Bai and Sun Qian as a reward. From now on, they will have no ties to me and will solely follow your orders. Their martial skills are commendable, and they are trustworthy. With their protection, I can rest assured." Stepping back, Xiao Yunduan bowed to the crown prince. "Thank you, crown prince." The term "thank you" carried a layer of sarcasm. The crown prince felt a sense of relief as the awkwardness dissipated. He raised his hand, chuckled, and dismissed formalities. "No need for ceremony. Officer Shao, there's no need to be overly polite with me. I've always regarded Officer Xiao as one of us. He patted Xiao Yunduan's shoulders, offering reassurance, and then instructed someone to summon Sun Bai and Sun Qian. If you find any errors, ads pop-up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1558, Sun Bai and Sun Qian. The Crown Prince addressed Sun Bai and Sun Qian, prompting the two to exchange glances before shifting their gaze to Xiao Yunduan. A shared sense of concealed delight passed between them. Having run numerous errands with Xiao Yunduan and Qiao Xian, they found their compatibility undeniable. Willing to accompany Xiao Yunduan for the long haul, they harbored no objections. In swift agreement, they bowed to bid farewell to their old master and formally acknowledged their new master in front of the Crown Prince. Henceforth, they embarked on a new chapter, transitioning from guards of the East Palace to servants of Lord Xiao's family. Though the shift in status felt somewhat demeaning, it seemed, as the saying goes, that a person knows if the water is cold or warm only when they drink it. This change might not be entirely disadvantageous. Leaving the East Palace with the two of them, Xiao Yunduan couldn't shake off a lingering gloom. Glancing at them, he remarked, "It's a waste of your talents to follow me. If you wish to leave, I'll release you at any time. However, there's one condition: whether you stay or depart, you mustn't conspire against me or disappoint me in any way." Sun Bai and Sun Qian promptly conveyed their sentiments. "My lord, please don't say that. I've always admired you. Staying by your side and working with you is an honor. I won't regret it, nor will I leave. The same goes for me." Xiao Yunduan smiled. "All right, let's proceed. I trust you, and I hope you won't let me down, just as I won't let you suffer." "Okay, Lord." "Lord, your kindness overwhelms us." Sun Bai and Sun Qian harbored no reluctance in leaving the East Palace. It wasn't that they lacked loyalty to the Crown Prince, but the East Palace housed numerous skilled martial artists among its guards and secret agents. Despite their top-notch martial prowess, they were just that, top-notch. Standing out and becoming the Crown Prince's indispensable right-hand man in the fierce intermediate competition was no easy feat. To catch the Crown Prince's attention and rise to prominence, one needed not only martial prowess but also skills or a significant background, which Sun Bai and Sun Qian lacked. Choosing to follow Xiao Yunduan, despite losing their previous status, offered them a more stable and enjoyable life. Given Lord Xiao's evident abilities, it was clear that he would carve a notable place for himself in the future, from which they would naturally benefit. Unbeknownst to them, Xiao Yunduan was already contemplating a swift retreat without hesitation. With a heavy heart, Xiao Yunduan led the two of them home, but their plans were interrupted by Li Xia halfway. Panting heavily, she urgently informed him, "Old master, Madam is at the Heavenly Mansion office right now. Hurry." Xiao Yunduan blinked. "What happened?" Let's talk on the way." "Yes." Qiao Xian, preoccupied with thoughts of her strawberry garden and the expansive fields in Yunshui town, had recently returned to the capital. Upon hearing Song's report, she had gone to inspect her properties. The strawberry garden, now filled with ripe fruits, looked lush and pleasing. Although the berries were gradually withering, a market trip was imminent. Despite the increased strawberry yield in the capital, it remained a scarce commodity. Aside from Qiao Xian, only a few stores offered them, and while the quantity was limited, prices continued to rise. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1559, Gain. Over two-thirds of Qiao Xian's strawberry harvest found its way to Jinquan Restaurant, while the remaining one-third was distributed among the other two tea houses. In the past year, the sales of strawberries alone had generated an impressive 20,000 to 30,000 taels of silver. This substantial income pleased Qiao Xian. After scrutinizing Song's meticulous account book, Finding no discrepancies, her satisfaction grew. In recognition of everyone's efforts, she generously rewarded Songshur with 400 taels of silver and Lixia, Mianmian, and Yi received 300, 200, and 200 taels respectively. The air was filled with joy and contentment. The following day, Qiao Xian set off for Cloudwater Town. Despite intending to go with her husband, Xiao Yunduan's busy schedule prompted her to take her own team. Setting off early, they enjoyed lunch at the manor and relished the freedom to explore. The manor, meticulously cleaned and adorned, awaited their arrival. With a variety of marinated beef, mutton, fish, prawns, chicken, streaky pork, tofu, mushrooms, potato slices, and more, a perfect barbecue awaited them. The gathering was a joyous affair, with a plethora of fruit trees on the farmstead offering ripe apples, pears, peaches, dates, walnuts, grapes, and more. They indulged in picking fresh fruits. Although watermelons, cantaloupes, and melons had already left the market, this year's produce proved exceptional. Large and sweet, the watermelons and cantaloupes were in high demand. Songshur, proud and overjoyed, devised a plan to store some in the cellar for the lord and madam to savor later. When Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan returned to the capital, they hadn't had the opportunity to check on the watermelons, allowing Qiao Xian and the others to indulge in the harvest. The farmstead boasted an abundant potato yield that year, with each potato cut into several pieces and planted. Qiao Xian secretly took out over 50 kilograms from her spatial storage and incorporated them. Having sufficient seeds, she managed to plant a total of 700 mu. As harvest time approached, the Ministry of Revenue sent representatives to greet them. Apart from their own family, the imperial court purchased the entire potato harvest at the price of 1 tael of silver per caddy. While this price was relatively low, being sold on the market could fetch at least 3 to 5 taels per caddy. Despite this, Songshur, mindful of the Ministry of Revenue's authority, didn't voice any objections when reporting the matter to Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan. Both Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan expressed agreement. The court's interest in promoting potatoes was beneficial, and for Xiao Yunduan, it earned favor for the crown prince. As for Qiao Xian, considering the modern era's potato prices, 1 tael of silver per caddy was deemed fair. Currently, the potatoes in the manor were being harvested, with more than half already dug up. A small portion remained to be harvested in the following days. Songshur, anticipating the upcoming winter, planned to utilize several hundred mu of land to plant white radishes, carrots, and cabbages for sale. On one particular day, as everyone enjoyed themselves in the manor, an unexpected incident occurred on their way back to the city. Approaching the city gate, they found a crowd and blocked carriages, prompting Qiao Xian to instruct Songshur to investigate the cause. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1560, Accident on the Road. Songshur swiftly returned with the report that a horse carriage had crashed into a tree along the official road. The carriage lay crooked and broken, its cargo of fresh vegetables, grapes, dates, apples, and other fruits scattered on the ground. Many were damaged, but some remained intact. The carriage owner insisted that he didn't want anything that had fallen to the ground. In the end, a few children from impoverished families attempted to salvage the vegetables and fruits. However, they faced humiliation and scolding from the carriage owner, drawing the attention of onlookers. As Songshur shared the details, a deep sigh escaped him, and he shook his head, seemingly unable to bear witnessing such incidents. Lixia, Mianmian, Yi, and the others, all with humble backgrounds, displayed subtle changes in their expressions upon hearing the account. Mianmian, having recently emerged from a difficult past, cautiously looked at Qiao Xian and inquired, "Madam," listening intently, Qiao Xian caught the frightened cries of the children and the harsh scolding from the young man. Frowning, she decided to intervene. "Let's go take a look." "Okay, madam." "Yes, madam." Mian Mian assisted Qiao Xian out of the wagon, leaving Qing Yan to guard it, and they hurried toward the scene. Yi, taking the lead, cleared a path for Qiao Xian and her servants, despite facing dissatisfaction. The contentious scene unfolded before them. You stinky bastards and little sluts, do you think you can take my things? Don't you want that dog paw anymore? One look and you can tell that you're born to be bitches and specialize in doing bitches. You're the one who said you didn't want it. 5 children, aged 8 to 12, 2 girls, and 3 boys, were terrified. The youngest girls, with tears streaming down their faces, sought comfort in the arms of an older boy. Not far from them, 3 large baskets lay overturned, their contents of vegetables and fruits scattered on the ground, unmistakably belonging to the children. In response to the eldest boy's retort, the young man in the silver-blue silk shirt, appearing as the manager, shouted even more fiercely, "Shut up! So what if I said I didn't want it? It belongs to me. Do I allow you to take it? Even if I destroy it, trample it, and feed it to the dogs, I can't let you benefit from cheap things. Disgusting poor people. You, don't bully me. Ha! Bully. You're disgusting. You think you're dirtying your hands by bullying your master. Don't talk nonsense. You stole my things, so quickly crawl over obediently, kowtow 3 times to me. Remember, crawl over, bow before me, and beg for mercy. When I'm in a good mood, I might spare you. Otherwise, you're all thieves. Stealers. I'll have someone send you to the officials to be beaten and locked up." "No, don't, we're not thieves." The children, confronted with a scene they had never witnessed, were immediately terrified by the young man's words. The younger ones burst into tears. Dressed lavishly, the young man exuded dominance, savagery, and unreasonableness. Compared to the children, he was on a different plane. His threats seemed tangible, and the children feared he had the capability to carry them out. How could they not be afraid? Even the oldest youth bit his lip, his complexion turning pale. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1561. Attack. The well-dressed young man reveled in his self-importance, placing his hands on his hips and laughing triumphantly. When he cast his gaze downward at the distressed individuals, his expression turned fierce again. "Little brats, what are you waiting for? Hurry up and crawl over to kowtow and apologize to me. Why? Do you really want to go to the government office and end up beaten in jail?" He continued his barrage of curses, hurling insults like "poor bastard" and "bitch," his mouth filled with obscenities. His lackeys, henchmen, and lapdogs crossed their arms, adopting a mocking stance. As expected, master and servant alike were brimming with profanities. The onlooking commoners, though disheartened, dared only to whisper and discuss softly. None had the courage to stand up and address the injustice. Living at the feet of the emperor, they knew better than anyone that provoking the rich and powerful was an unwise move. Unable to tolerate the situation any longer, Qiao Xian instructed Yi, Songshi, and Li Xia, "Help those kids up and comfort them." "Okay, madam." They eagerly awaited Qiao Xian's command and stepped forward. Unfazed by fear, they were determined. With their old master being the crown prince's favorite, they were eager to discover the identity of this arrogant troublemaker. Their actions sparked a commotion in the crowd. Commoners, relieved to see someone taking a stand, couldn't help expressing their concerns. "Sigh, someone finally cares. Io, don't get into trouble. Amitabha, God bless, yes, yes, yes. Please bless me. Good things will happen to good people." The arrogant young man erupted in fury. Who dares to interfere in my business? Damn it! Are you tired of living?" When the arrogant young man caught sight of Qiao Xian, a malevolent smirk crept across his face as he scrutinized her from head to toe. He sneered, "I was wondering who it was, and it turns out you're such a pretty girl. May I know which family you're from? Tell me your name so I can understand. I'll send you home later and have a talk with your husband and family." His lackeys, henchmen, and lapdogs joined in laughter, their lecherous gazes fixed on Chao Xian. "Young master, why not speak directly to the young lady? Wouldn't it be better to discuss things in private, on a more comfortable bed?" "Ha ha ha ha. Yes, yes, yes. I'm sure the young lady will be more than willing to engage in conversation. Ha 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 ha." Without awaiting Chao Xian's command, Yi swiftly kicked them down and snapped, "Shut up." With incredible strength, a single kick sent the two tumbling to the ground, emitting muffled groans. Writhing in pain, they clutched their abdomens and curled up like shrimps, unable to rise. Yi knew the boundaries under the emperor's rule and deliberately held back, preventing the two from suffering further. Otherwise, their predicament would have been even more severe. Silence enveloped the surroundings as onlookers stared in disbelief. Eyes widened and mouths agape, they stood frozen like chickens. The insolent young man's lackeys, henchmen, and lapdogs instinctively retreated, anticipating a confrontation. Turning pale, the arrogant young man sneered as he pointed at Chao Xian. "How dare you touch my men? Tell me your name." Chao Xian responded with a sneer of her own. "I don't need to disclose my name when witnessing injustice. Besides, you're not worth knowing." "You? What about me? I'm already flattering you by calling you a scumbag. A person like you isn't fit to associate with humans. You're worse than pigs and dogs. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 1562, Insolence. "You, there." The arrogant young man's anger escalated as he shot a fierce glare at Chao Xian. Had he not been wary of Yi, he might have commanded his remaining 3 lackeys to charge forward. His foresight, however, prevented him from underestimating Yi's strength. "I'll settle this today. Just you wait," he declared with hostility. Chao Xian sneered in response. "All right, I'll wait." While the insolent young man dispatched the servants to fetch the carriage, he continued his confrontation with Chao Xian. "I won't waste my time with you, fool. You dare to strike my men? Go to the Heavenly Mansion office and explain yourself. If you refuse, don't expect a peaceful departure." "I doubt you can intimidate me," Chao Xian retorted. Her confusion deepened. This man defied the typical behavior of a wealthy playboy, refraining from boasting about himself. Yet, his arrogance suggested a deep connection to Heavenly Mansion, as if it were a family enterprise. Chao Xian speculated silently that he might be a privileged scion concealing his identity. If so, he must have a powerful backing. If not, there was no reason for concern. The Upper Heavenly Mansion's government office. Perfect. While other women might avoid such a situation to protect their reputation, Chao Xian remained indifferent. She knew her husband wouldn't reproach her. "All right, let's go to the Heavenly Mansion. I want to see how the magistrate handles this," Chao Xian declared. The arrogant young man grinned viciously. "You'll find out soon enough." He vowed that regardless of the family status, if they dared to pose challenges, he would take severe action. A modestly dressed young woman consistently appeared, lacking the airs of nobility and sporting an accent distinct from the capital. Accompanied by only a handful of humble servants, it seemed implausible that she hailed from a prominent family. Could she be a relative exploiting the situation from another city? Determined to impart a lesson, he envisioned her kneeling at his feet, crying, kowtowing, and repenting. Pointing at the children, he commanded his lackeys, henchmen, and lapdogs, "Bring them along. None of them are to leave." The recently comforted children, now terrified once again, couldn't help but glance at the oldest among them. Licia gently caressed the head of a young lady, offering soothing words. "Don't be afraid. Just go. Our madam will protect you." Though still frightened, the children, guided by the eldest youth, stiffly nodded. "Well, stay with this madam." The group resolutely returned to the city. The arrogant young man, fearing their escape, dispatched his lackeys to report the incident to the heavenly mansion, accompanied by constables. Meanwhile, he closely tailed Xiao Xian's wagon to prevent any attempts to flee. Inside the wagon, Xiao Xian gathered the children and generously offered them fresh fruits. Seeing their longing but timid expressions, her heart softened. She smiled gently and reassured them, "Don't be afraid. Trust me, we'll be all right. Come, eat quickly. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 1563, Let Him Know Who He Can't Touch. Xiao Xian placed a sweet apple in one girl's hands and a jujube in the other girl's hands. The remaining children took the fruit and began to eat, finding solace in the delicious food. Gradually, their commotion subsided. As the carriage entered the city, a contingent of more than 10 bailiffs from the heavenly mansion arrived. The arrogant young man, filled with self-satisfaction, glared at Xiao Xian's carriage and directed the bailiffs to closely monitor her, ensuring she wouldn't escape. Despite his inclination to make a dramatic scene, his uncle's warnings about maintaining a low profile in the capital restrained him. However, obtaining tangible benefits remained his priority. He wouldn't allow Xiao Xian to feel at ease. If not for his uncle's advice, he would have ordered the bailiffs to forcefully bring her and her servants down from the carriage, tie them up, and parade them through the streets. But patience was key. Once they reached the heavenly mansion's government office, ample opportunities would present themselves. The audacious insult in public would not go unanswered. He harbored dark plans for Xiao Xian, vowing to maim and silence her. As for her rebellious slave who had dared to harm his man, he plotted a brutal reprisal, intending to break his spirit and inflict lasting pain. They soon arrived at the heavenly mansion's government office, and everyone disembarked. The officers cast cold glances at Xiao Xian and then turned to the arrogant young man, greeting him with a sycophantic smile. "Young Master Wen." Confused, Xiao Xian realized she knew all the noble families in the capital but couldn't recall any with the surname Wen. Despite her inner sigh about the complexities of the capital, she held no regrets about stepping forward. Refusing to turn a blind eye to such an injustice, she couldn't overcome the moral hurdle within her heart. Regardless of how well the family concealed their identity, it paled in comparison to the crown prince's influence. She had mistakenly assumed he used his authority to intimidate others. "I'm just a woman and may not understand everything. Can I send the maidservant to fetch my husband?" she suggested. Xiao Xian glanced at young Master Wen, a hint of disdain in her expression. "If you're afraid, you can simply act like I never said anything." Young Master Wen glared at her with malice and sneered, "Fine, call him." He relished the thought of annihilating them all. The prospect of humiliating her in front of her husband brought a cruel smile to his face. Amused by his own scheme, young Master Wen burst into laughter, regarding Xiao Xian as a fool. The other bailiffs exchanged knowing glances, inwardly mocking her perceived foolishness. Though it may not make a significant difference, dragging her husband into the situation was young Master Wen's twisted satisfaction. He couldn't fathom what Xiao Xian had done to provoke his intense ire. Even if her husband didn't arrive immediately, she was destined for a challenging future. By crossing young Master Wen, her entire family faced an inevitable downfall, and it wouldn't be a graceful one. Upon hearing Xiao Xian's proposal, the boy summoned his courage and whispered, I also want my brother to call my lord. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1564. Heavenly Mansion Office. Young Master Wen grinned with a sinister delight, his gaze akin to a poisonous snake. Go, ha ha ha. Go. The half-grown boy leaned in and whispered to a 10-year-old boy, Xiao Er, go back and find Uncle Zheng. Go quickly. Xiao Er, tears welling up in his eyes, pursed his lips and nodded vigorously before darting away. Observing the situation, Qiao Xian instructed Li Xia to return and fetch Xiao Yunduan. The influence of young Master Wen became evident upon their arrival at the Heavenly Mansion Yamen. The prefectural magistrate sat composed in his official uniform within the bright mirror hall, initiating the trial promptly. Bring in the criminals. The shocking hall would resounded heavily on the ground, and the prefectural magistrate asserted with authority. The bailiffs on either side brandished fire and water sticks in rhythmic strikes, creating a compelling atmosphere. For someone with a weak constitution or a modest background, the scene could induce fear and trembling. Frowning slightly, Qiao Xian comforted the trembling shoulders of the two girls. Don't be afraid. The prefectural magistrate sternly demanded, who are you? Kneel down. Proudly, young Master Wen addressed Lord Qin, claiming, Lord Qin, these individuals obstructed the road and attempted robbery. They deliberately caused a disturbance, shocking my carriage. You're spouting nonsense. It's all, let him speak. Before Lord Qin could intervene, Qiao Xian halted the young man named Lu Fu. Don't utter a word. Enduring his anger, Lu Fu nodded stiffly and turned his face away. Resentment filled his heart, directed at those who preyed on the common people and bullied the weak. He despised the injustice of this world and the distorted truth within the court. Lord Qin snorted heavily and cast a cold glare at Lu Fu. Dare to disrupt the court again, and hell receive another 20 strokes. Young Master Wen sneered repeatedly, feeling self-satisfied. Inwardly, he mused, is this all they've got? They'll suffer more later. His gaze shifted toward the crowd outside the court, adding to his delight. The more spectators, the better. It would enhance the satisfaction of revenge. These youngsters rushed out, startling my horse and causing my entire carriage of goods to topple and be ruined. I was nearly thrown off the carriage. They're simply attempting murder for money. According to young Master Wen's account, the narrative unfolded as follows. Qiao Xian and Lu Fu conspired to harm him, resulting in the destruction of his goods and carriage. Engaging in a heated argument, Qiao Xian, accompanied by her entourage, accused him of bullying the weak and ordered her servants to assault him. Though he couldn't identify the origin of Qiao Xian's servant, the individual displayed remarkable strength, leaving his own 2 servants severely injured and vomiting blood. Requesting immediate attention for the injured servants, their pallid faces and labored breathing attested to the severity of their condition. Sir, I'm truly bewildered. How have I offended this lady to become the target of such a vile and treacherous plot? If not for my good fortune, I might have perished within days. The situation was truly terrifying. This deranged, treacherous individual must face severe consequences. Failure to do so will undoubtedly unleash havoc on the people and imperil the region in the future. I implore you to conduct a thorough investigation. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible.